Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Angel Velez, and John Tortorelli. And this is now episode 473. On this episode, we are going to talk about the Grizzlies firing Taylor Jenkins out of nowhere, out of left fields. It feels. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, some other NBA stuff going on. And then for the NFL, Brock Purdy reportedly going to get 50 to 55 million. JJ McCarthy, the Vikings have not locked him in as quarterback one. Some underrated free agent signings and more. Fellas, episode 473. If you guys are watching this right now, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends. Let's try to get to 500 likes in this episode. We appreciate you guys. Fellas, how you guys doing?
No Dells. Broke my heart.
Don't even know why he's not here. What happened?
Broke my heart, man, because I felt like we've been building a strong brotherhood lately.
Yeah, it's been weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've enjoyed it personally.
We've been locked in. No, we've been locked in, John. Okay. Like lately, we've been really just seeing eye to eye, on the same page. Now my brother's not here. He's dealing with something right now. I think he found out he just had sickle cell. So.
What the
just
hell?
Fucking playing, just playing. My boy good. He just had something to do. He'll be all right. No, he'll be good. He'll be good. He back. But let's have a good show.
Bro said sickle cell.
Let's have a good show, man.
Where the hell that come from?
Let's have some fun. Let's liven it up. It's Friday. It's gonna be 80 degrees tomorrow. We're getting that weather back.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man.
It's been a long time coming.
Hope you get well.
Talking about personal issues, illnesses, whatever like that. I don't know what's been going on recently, but my dandruff has been really bad as of recently. Yeah, I've tried so many different shampoos. I hate the people that always recommend me Head and Shoulders. And if you're out there listening, if you guys have dandruff problems and you probably have used Head and Shoulders and it doesn't work, and then whenever people talk about your dandruff, they recommend you that, you probably get really upset and annoyed, and that's how I feel because I've tried it. It hasn't worked. I've tried everything out there. I've tried Nizoral. I've tried anti-dandruff shampoo. I've tried psoriasis shampoo. I'm thinking, is it flakes or is it just my scalp? And I don't know, man. I still can't figure it out.
Can I hook you up with some knowledge?
What?
Let's actually break this down. How often do you wash your hair?
It varies because sometimes I wash it like almost every other day.
Okay, so I'll say this.
But this is what I was going to say.
Okay.
There's also moments where, because I've read on it, that you're not supposed to wash it every day.
Yeah.
Because it's dry. But then even when I don't wash it every day and I wash it once a week, it still pops up. And the issue with that is if I don't wash it every other day, by like the third, fourth day, my scalp gets very, very flaky to the point that I have to wash it. Like I have to put water on it at least.
I rinse my hair every night. Every single night I rinse my hair. I take care of my hair. Some could argue too much. Every single night I rinse my hair. I condition every single night. I do not shampoo more than once a week.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you have your natural oils, but you have conditioner in your hair, which automatically is going to make your hair softer, and it's going to put a little bit of oil naturally every single day. I really did struggle years ago with that. When I was washing my hair every single day, and I was doing all the wrong things. I started doing this. I started leaving conditioner in my hair. Started wearing a bonnet to go to sleep. Like I've really taken all these levels to make sure my scalp is good.
Yeah.
So I know that struggle. So I get that, but see if that helps you. Rinse every day. Run your hair underwater every single day. Condition every day. Shampoo once a week. If you feel like, oh, my hair really feels dirty, twice a week won't kill you either.
You have some advice on that, John?
I wouldn't say I have advice, maybe some
experience,
amateur experience, if you will. I also use like shampoo like maybe once or twice a week, and I thought you were gonna say that, but I don't use conditioner, and I've been told I shouldn't be using it, and I have it, and so I used to use it, and I feel like for me personally, it's been better not using it. And then like you, of course, I'm honestly showering every single day, so I feel like when I was showering and washing my hair with shampoo every day in high school, my hair was like thin.
Yeah, it was in shambles.
And it was like pretty tough because there's no natural oils, and I guess it's the DHT or whatever it is. So when I stopped doing that, I felt like my hair like kind of like helped the scalp and whatnot.
It's embarrassing. It's been really tough to deal with. It's sometimes that I just go and I try to maybe scratch my head. I don't know if it's gonna look like it's snowing.
And then you have a black sweater on.
Yeah,
and
then you see
got
the flakes on it, so I
Flake
can't
action.
touch it. You know, if I start going like this, you're about to start seeing it fall
like
down.
snow.
You know, it's gonna snow, and there are times where it didn't do it that time,
Yeah, I
thank
was
God.
looking.
But then there are times that the most embarrassing part is, you know, I go to the barber shop and I'm like, I can't let my barber see me like this.
That's a fact.
But he probably knows how fucked up my scalp is. There's no way he doesn't.
That's a fact.
Because there's no way that he's looking at my hair,
You're a barber, you gotta know.
even as much as I'm trying to help it. You know, there's just no way he doesn't notice, because there's some times that I went to the barbershop and I know I didn't do the best job, and he never said nothing about it. So thank God. And, you know, I really appreciate him not talking about it, but that's something. But I remember one time when I went to go get my hair braided, the person was braiding my hair. She was a woman, and women are very upfront about
they be
things.
violating.
Yeah. And then she was like, you got to take care of your scalp. And I'm like, I'm trying. Nothing is working.
Yeah.
I've tried multiple different remedies. I mean, you're telling me to condition. John is like, that doesn't work for me. And everybody's scalp is so different, and I've been trying to find a solution, but I just can't.
My hairstylist, when I used to have long hair, she used to see me book my day, right? And then I'd come in and I'd be like, you know, what's up? She'd be like, how are you? She see my hair all fucked up. So she like, you know, every time you book, I just move everybody a different day, because I know you just going to take 5-6 hours.
Damn.
And I was just looking at her like, I want to say things to you that just...
That's some things just shouldn't be
Yeah,
said.
can
like,
say things
like,
to
I
you.
just want to say things to you that just like breed disrespect, but I'm just like, I'm paying you, so yeah, bro, that shit's tough, man.
It is tough. You know, barbers deal with that all the time. You're not the only
Barbers
person
don't really,
that's
they
ever had
just be
it.
like, they'll throw a little like, damn, or like, oh, you wash your hair, like a little subliminal questions here and there.
I'll tell you what, if I had an issue with that, my barber, shout out to Carlos from Cuts and Shaves, it's a very safe space, so I feel like I can ask him that question, he'll be straight up with me and give me a good answer. Shout
That's
out
lit.
Carlos, yeah.
Cuts and shaves. I like that.
My
my
barber's my
brothers.
sister. So if anyone's going to be real with you, it's going to be your sister. However, there was one time in nursing school, this girl was braiding my hair because my hair is really long. So she was just braiding my hair. But again, I only wash my hair once, twice max a week. She was like, oh my God, your hair's a little oily. I'm just like, well, I got leave-in conditioner in my hair. I got all this, that, and the third. You said you wanted to braid my hair. You took this gamble. I didn't really feel too bad about it. But thank God I don't have to worry about flakes no more. That really is a struggle, unfortunately.
There was one time where my cousin did a at-home remedy for my dandruff, and what it was is basically just squeezing limes on my scalp.
I have heard of that.
It was one of the best feelings that I've had on my scalp in a long time. Definitely irritating,
Like a
but
little sizzle?
It felt so fresh. Like my scalp felt like a brand new scalp, and I haven't gotten it in a long time. I probably need to, but we're gonna get into the episode. You know, John is filling in for Dels this episode. Dels will be here tomorrow.
Do we know what happened?
I don't know. He has not said nothing.
All right.
But I will tell you guys that tomorrow we are recording a podcast as well with an NBA player. Shout out to you guys. Find out. A lot of you guys already guessed it on the comment section.
They guessed
They
it.
guessed
but
it. I gave
Joel
them a million
basically
hints.
said, "Here you go, guys. Here's the answer."
Yeah, we're gonna have it's cats out the bag. Todd Jerome's coming on a
Yes,
podcast
sir.
tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to him. And then next week we also have Pierre from Numbers on the Board.
We're back.
Big time next week. Pick us up. He's coming on the podcast. Shout out to him. Very busy guy, but we've been able to get him on a podcast because we haven't gotten him in a long time.
Since
it's not
episode
and it's
300.
Not because he hasn't wanted to. We just really haven't asked. It really hasn't crossed our mind in a while, but we're going to get him on next week, gearing up for the NBA playoffs. I feel like that's the best time because throughout the NBA season, there's really not much to talk about. There's really not much to say. You're just kind of reacting to the things that are currently going on. But the NBA playoffs, we're going to have him on for like an NBA playoff show, giving some predictions, maybe an award show. So that's what's going to happen. If you're watching this, make sure you guys like and subscribe because we're trying to get this out the mud. We're trying to make this a full-time job. We're trying to get Riv out of teaching kids. We're trying to get Dels out of his day job. We're trying to get John out of college. We're trying to do all these things, and you guys make it possible. You guys are the reasons we've grown to this point. It's
true.
So we got to let you guys know. You're the reason why we're able to do this, and it means a lot when you guys support us, comment, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff, interact with us. So let's get into the episode. And the first topic we got to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies firing Taylor Jenkins.
Your boys.
Reported by Tim McMahon. He said that this was a rift between the front office and the coaching staff, mainly Taylor Jenkins. The offense that has been installed in Memphis has come from a European coach that is currently on the staff, and I don't want to get his name wrong.
Yeah.
Is he the one who just took over?
Yeah, the intern.
Yes, the interim head coach's name is Tuomas Lisalo or Isalo. And in Paris basketball last year, his team had a 126.8 offensive rating. It was a better offensive rating than every NBA team ever, and their best player on the team was only 5'9". So he knows how to coach offensive basketball. They were top 3 in 9 different categories. The Grizzlies this year have one of the best offenses in the NBA, and they've improved in the half court, and it's been his system. From what it sounds like, it feels like the front office is bought all the way in on this new system, and Taylor Jenkins maybe not so much. We've talked about this before, but what do you think about it now that Taylor Jenkins has been fired just a couple weeks before the playoffs?
I'll say this real quick, Riv, and then you can go because obviously these are your Grizzlies. You know what this reminded me of? The Bulls. When they fired Collins and moved on to Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson had the triangle offense, and that's what the GM wanted. They wanted Phil Jackson to take over inevitably, but he wanted him to pick the brain of the guy who invented the triangle offense, and they were trying to condition him to take over the job. And Collins, Doug Collins. All right, I just want to make sure because Chrissy's in my mind. I know that was wrong. Collins was very against instilling the triangle offense. He really tried to push it off as much as he could. And then they fired him. And then Phil Jackson ended up taking the job regardless. This is kind of giving me that same type of vibe. So I'm not surprised when I hear you say something like that, but I am surprised that they fired Jenkins a month before playoffs start.
Yeah. Another thing too, like the Grizzlies have beaten just one team with their winning record since February 3rd, and that was the Mavs, who were missing probably like 8 players. So you could, I'm not gonna go deep into the context. Grizzlies are probably hurt too throughout all that stuff. Definitely seen it coming. Didn't see it coming this fast. I thought they would fire him in the offseason. I thought like whether they lose in the first round, lose in the second round, Taylor Jenkins was gonna be gone. I've been in Memphis, community.
Space.
Yeah, I've been in their spaces. I've witnessed how Taylor Jenkins, this is kind of his last hurrah with the team, and feels like the team is a bit done with him, and it's no slight to Taylor Jenkins. We saw even going that far, we could just go to last year with JB Bickerstaff and the Cavs. Like they were a good team. We all knew they were a good team, but they were missing something, and they thought it was a coaching difference. And they brought in Kenny Atkinson. Now look at them, and then JB with Detroit, he fits right in with them. With Taylor, he's been there for so long. He's been such a great coach throughout the regular season. This year, you can just see it. Even like last week, Desmond Bain, Santi Aldama going, having that little situation going through it. It just felt like Jenkins and then John Morant in certain post games talking about the offense, talking about Jenkins. It just felt like the team was just kind of over Jenkins, and it felt like the front office was kind of over Jenkins. And then you have the fan base complaining about how he plays the young guys too much. He doesn't ride out his star players. His lineups are kind of wacky. It's a whole lot of stuff that's been going on this year. But just for me, looking at it, I think it's crazy to fire a coach 9 games before the playoffs.
Insane.
I just think that just breeds too much confusion. Now you bring and to be fair, like you mentioned, the guy's been there for a while. Like the assistant coach, now interim head coach, ran a good system in for Paris, I believe it was.
Basketball,
yeah, and he runs a lot of high pick and roll variant stuff. So they really liked him, and I think he's probably going to be their head coach going forward. They're really high on him, really high on what he can do. They felt like he might have got a better offer this offseason, so they wanted to jump on that early. But just firing a coach where your star player is out right now with a hamstring, he is coming back, but he's out with a hamstring. You got Jaren up and down right now. They did play good against OKC, but they ended up losing it in the fourth because, SGA is just that good. Mm-hmm. They were a better team. But you're sitting in a situation where, I don't know, Memphis is in this weird space because you have a lot of young talent. Your big three is still young. Where's the direction? When are they all going to reach their ceilings at the same time? Do their ceilings even align with each other at the same time? That's something the coach has to figure out. Do you have the proper role players and stuff like that? Are you going to pay Jaren that $45-50 million? It's just so much going on. But I do think firing a coach this early, I don't agree with stuff like that. I think you should wait until after, the playoffs is over, because I just feel like now you're sitting here, you have this interim. How is it going to look? The playoffs are about to start. You're fighting for a 3-4, 2 seed, however it is. You're shaking up in that area. But definitely thought Jenkins, with what he's done in Memphis, how he's built that program up, the type of development he's done, how he's been well in the regular season, even with a lot of banged up teams. He deserved a little bit more respect to where he should at least been fired in the offseason.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This shit makes no sense. On one side of things, I'll start off with this. Taylor Jenkins is an elite coach. This is somebody who in 6 years coaching the Grizzlies had them as a number 2 seed back-to-back years, has had them top 5 net rating 3 of those 6 years. The 3 years where they weren't was last year where John Morant missed almost the entirety of the season. John Morant's first year in the NBA where they almost made the playoffs. They were a playoff team before the bubble. And then his second year in the league when they were one of the youngest teams in the NBA and they were a great story that year. And every single year he's been coaching, the Grizzlies have been a top 15 defense, even in years where guys have been missing time left and right. And for us to come on here and basically overlook the fact that he's been at worst a top 10 coach throughout the entirety of his tenure in Memphis, to me is insane. I look at this move and the timing of it, and on one side of things, I understand if you really want this interim, this assistant coach long-term, and you don't want him to be going somewhere else in the offseason. But to do it in this fashion to me, when no one on this panel right now thinks the Grizzlies are a contending team, as is anyways, doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I will say, based off of the things I've heard great things, and I think he could be a good coach. But at the same exact time, it is a leap from Memphis, which I'm not totally sold on. And if there's a rift between Jenkins and the front office, I've seen this front office make a lot of questionable moves over the last couple of years for as much good as they've done. And you could have gripes like, yeah, Taylor Jenkins plays young guys more. Well, his top 3 players all have injury issues. John Morant hasn't been with his foot, and Jaren Jackson consistently. He hasn't played 70 games in 3 years. So I think he's done a wonderful job, and you can make a case, even the year Monty Williams won Coach of the Year, he did the best job that season as a coach. And every single season, he has done more with less, despite guys being constantly in and out of the lineup. I think he's a wonderful coach. And when I first saw this, I said this clearly doesn't add up, because it has to be something off the court for him to get fired in this fashion, in this time. In the offseason, a little bit more understandable. But this move is one that I just don't get at all. And quite frankly, I think that Tomas can come in and be a really good coach for the Grizzlies, and this could still be a bad move.
How do you feel about it, Drew?
So like I said to start, again, I am shocked more than anything that he is fired, especially when we're this close to the playoffs. But, Riv, you've been talking about it and alluding for the last couple of weeks now. When are the Grizzlies going to take that next leap? And then 2, is Tevin Jenkins the guy that they're going to make that leap with? Taylor, excuse me. Is he I know Tevin Jenkins is the left tackle that just got signed. Is Taylor Jenkins the coach that's going to allow them to take that next leap? And again, you giving me this information, telling me about a new offense that has, or the Grizzlies feel can revolutionize the game, and they could be one of the most efficient offenses in basketball. And we've already seen the Grizzlies start to trend in the right direction offensively this season. But if they really start to lock in on what the new interim head coach's philosophy is, then we can reach our next potential. Again, I mentioned Doug Collins before. Doug Collins got eliminated in the ECF, and they fired him. This was the best season that the Bulls have had in their franchise, if I'm not mistaken, at that point in time.
Yeah, they were terrible.
And then
awful franchise.
The very next season, they move on to Phil Jackson because they like his philosophy more. They feel like that ceiling is higher because there's a much more creative way to an already talented team, but now we just need a new scheme. You have great players in Memphis. We understand that. And John, you're not too far off. I'm sure a lot of people felt strongly about Doug Collins back in the day too. I think that Taylor Jenkins is a great head coach as well.
I feel like, John, I can understand your perspective. This has been the assistant coach's offensive system for most of the year. This has been the most efficient half-court offense that they've had in the Taylor Jenkins era. And there is something to be said for, because he's an assistant coach, he wasn't able to fully implement his system because there is some, as Tim McMahon reported, offensive tug of war going on with, different philosophies. Taylor Jenkins maybe wanted to do something a certain way. I'm not denying that he's a great coach, and I think he's going to be the hottest commodity on the open market for a new team that is looking for a head coach. But with that being said, it is so hard to be a head coach in the modern NBA because you can succeed, and when things go wrong, you'll get blamed. And for the most part, to win, it takes talent. And that's why Joe Mazzulla is with the Celtics and he won a championship. But I mean, Taylor Jenkins is with the Celtics. They could maybe win the championship too because that team is just overall stacked. Joe Mazzulla wouldn't have won a championship with the Grizzlies. So I think when it comes to coaching, a lot of it is luck-based, how talented your roster is top to bottom. Memphis is a smaller market, and maybe they just felt that this assistant would do a better job maximizing that talent than Taylor Jenkins. Not that he didn't maximize that talent, but don't you think that maybe Memphis has hit their ceiling a little bit? Because we're all talking about them as pretenders. They've been pretenders for years now. And the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So do you think that staying with Taylor Jenkins is not them being insane?
You don't think they're pretenders because of Taylor Jenkins. You think they're pretenders because of their star talent.
That's what I'm saying.
Roster.
That's what I'm saying. Talent
Not
has a
the
lot
coaching.
to. That's what I'm
and
saying.
Definitely not the culture
Talent-
that he built.
Talent
He built
has a
an
lot
elite
to do with
culture.
it. I understand. Talent has a lot to do with it. But I also don't think that he's one of the better coaches in the Western Conference amongst the playoff groupings. I think Tyronn Lue's a better coach than him. I think JJ Redick, I think he's a better coach. And I know JJ Redick's
been
only
70
his
games
rookie.
for the guy.
I know.
We're on
But
the same level.
I think JJ Redick is brilliant.
Get to the obvious ones. Mark Daigneault is a better head coach than him. You can argue Mike Malone's
why,
a better.
though?
Mike Malone's not a better coach. Mike Malone is
Daigneault?
not a better coach.
Well, yeah, why is Mark Daigneault a better coach than Taylor Jenkins?
You want to talk about the rising? It's
Because
pretty.
his players are better?
Well, not even necessarily just that too. Look at the first year that SGA
They've
ascended
been-
to an All NBA player.
They've been a year ahead of schedule every single season.
That's
feel
you're
like
talking
that-
about Mark Daigneault.
Yeah.
But I
absolutely.
feel like you could say
The
that
Grizzlies
about...
too.
Because also
you can say
the
that about,
teams.
yeah, but
No,
the
but
Grizzlies
mostly
also.
I want to say
He built an elite defense
anything.
with Jalen Williams as the center.
Exactly right.
They're like top 12.
And it was based off of hustle, of taking charges and second chance fast break type shit. That's really where you look at Daigneault, especially in that year that they were the 10th seed. But
Mark Daigneault's a top 3 coach in the NBA.
and then Mike Malone's another
No,
one.
that's not true.
So let me ask you something, John.
That's not true at all.
Even
Since
if you
when
don't
are we?
think that,
Wait,
he's right there.
why is Daigneault now getting underrated by you, Riff?
I don't think he's getting underrated.
So
I mean, if
just
you say
because
there's no way, yes, you definitely are.
like Mark Daigneault is a top 5, top 7 at worst coach.
I think Jenkins, like, when we talk about coaching, I feel like we look at records and we look at the players on the team. I don't really think we look at the actual X's and O's of it. I think Taylor Jenkins can do the same great job over there in OKC as Mark Daigneault's doing. Like,
as good as this year, like all-time great level defense.
I mean, if he gets SGA playing at this high level like this, yeah, I think he could do it.
but the offense
I don't think
isn't
it's nothing
what's
crazy.
the wow factor of OKC. It's the defense.
I mean, it's the fact that SGA can carry
I
these
think-
defensive lineups.
No,
is
I
really
mean,
big.
for sure.
The most important question I think that we have to answer, because we could talk about coaches all day, but I think that's a bit boring. I think what's a better question is if they had kept Taylor Jenkins and they had lost in the first round of the NBA playoffs, what is the next move for the Grizzlies?
No, he was gonna
and
get fired.
I'll ask you, John, what would the Grizzlies have done if they got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs? Would you have fired Taylor Jenkins if that's the case?
Well, I would be looking to consolidate as much of the depth as I can to complete my starting lineup and add more because their offense this year has been the best, especially in the half court. But when we talk about the Grizzlies, I didn't look at them as a tier 1 or a tier 2 team in the Western Conference. And I do believe they could add a little more high-end talent while keeping John, keeping Jaren. And looking to upgrade the roster is what I would have done. And I believe that firing him after, let's say, you get swept in the first round, I can understand that a little bit more. But even still, he has consistently been a top 10 coach in basketball. And for as much glowing reports and reviews as I've heard, I don't fully trust Memphis. This is the same team that traded up 7 spots to take Zaire Williams over Trey Murphy after they're strongly linked to Trey Murphy and they're working him out consistently. That's the same front office who's made a lot of questionable moves, and they made some good ones too, but I'm not going to fully trust them because I do believe if there was this rift that them firing Taylor Jenkins in this point in time, if it's strictly about basketball, it's 1, done in bad taste, and 2, it's a very, very ballsy move. And I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work out.
Are we going to pretend like they haven't hit in the draft though a ton? Like, look how deep this team is.
I
How
got a better
often do they
question.
Their
sign?
biggest win in the last 3 years. They swung and they missed horribly.
Yeah, but it's Zaire Williams, and I think they
A
made
lot
up
of
for
people
about
had
having Jalen
Zaire
Williams.
Williams really high.
He was talented.
Those things with the swing and misses, yeah, I get that. Like, they swung for Zaire. It's unfortunate they did
That's
miss.
the stuff that makes you a contender. You draft Trey Murphy to this team.
I mean, but Trey Murphy coming out
He
wasn't...
wasn't a lottery
Yeah,
pick. That's also the same team that was they're interviewing him, they're working him out consistently.
That's
they
a
saw
fact.
him up
That's a
close, and they
fact.
said, no, we'll take
Well,
Zach.
how
But the
about them
last
taking
time-
Santi Aldama? Santi
Great pick.
Aldama going and,
That was
and
5 years
transcending
ago.
into, but nevertheless, you still have to respect the front
They
office.
just
for
took
making-
Jalen Wells.
I think both
J-
times
yeah.
they've rebuilt. They had
But
the
those aren't
best
the
depth
moves that
before.
are catapulting them to the next
But
level.
the thing is, they have a big three, albeit it's not one of the best big three, but they have their 3 players that they
That's
drafted.
what I really want to unpack because I think I think the real question is
How do they get to the next level?
if the assistant coach built this offense, and this is something Ja's been complaining about all year, and Jaren's been thriving on it, then I asked the question of, was Taylor Jenkins up in the front office, and it was Taylor Jenkins and Ja versus Jaren and this new coach? And if this new coach is coming in, is Ja the one that's going to be sent out? Because if now we find out this wasn't really Taylor Jenkins' offense, and they've been having a tug of war with this offense all year, and we've known Ja to be extremely successful in Taylor Jenkins' offense from this, just the regular stat stuff. And Jaren's been successful this year. I mean, the whole offense has been successful this year. Although it is some I'm not the fan of it because I don't like everybody having the ball and being able to do multiple things at a second because not everybody's good at it. But it's been working in a sense. That's where I'm at with it because now you're sitting here. You fired Taylor Jenkins. You had 9 games left. You're two out of the 3 of your star players. Ja's been bad, playing good as of late, but then he got hurt. Desmond Bane's been up and down all year. Jaren's been your most consistent player all year. How do you? Because Taylor Jenkins, I don't think he could have done it. Is this new guy going to be the guy that you think can now get these 3 guys on the same page?
I think even if he's not, you got to give it a chance because I think with Taylor Jenkins, he maximized what the Grizzlies could have been, and I think that was plateaued. Nobody's ever done, as another example we could use, not even dating back to the 90s or the late 80s, but a recent example, Brad Stevens was one of the best coaches in the NBA. The Celtics improved with Ime Udoka, their physicality and their identity, because they just didn't really vibe with Brad Stevens and his message wasn't getting to those players towards the end of the tenure. Ime Udoka, the scandal happens. He gets clipped. And then Joe Mazzulla comes in and he turns around the Celtics and they become this 3-point shooting team and he leads them to the championship and they win it all. So I think sometimes these moves are necessary because what is going to get Memphis to the next level? Well, I don't agree that I don't think they have the roster to do it, number one. And I think John Morant is a huge question mark on whether or not he can be that type of player because I don't know if his long-term future in Memphis is secure. I think it's not. I think that there's a big possibility that he's not in Memphis in a couple of years, just with the way that they have been shifting away from him. He is a pick and roll heavy point guard that uses a lot of isolation, but in the pick and roll this year, 0.83 points per possession is a below average number for a guard that you hope to have the ball that much. It's just pretty inefficient. So I just think the Grizzlies made a big time swing move. And I think what you said earlier about them getting ahead of this, they didn't want this coach to go. They said, listen, we think what he's doing is the future and we want to get ahead of it because Taylor Jenkins, for as great as a coach as he is, he's not revolutionary. He's not doing something that nobody else is doing. This coach did something revolutionary over there with Paris basketball and had the best offensive rating ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ja's there to stay unless they want him to go. I don't think he would want to go, being as if the way he, how the community treats him, stuff like that. But I do think this offense, as great as it is, there's still niches and cracks to it. So I am excited to see how, now that he's going to be the head coach, how does it fully look? Like, how does it fully be his own? Because I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Jalen Wells having the ball and being able to make plays in his rookie year. Luke Kennard having the ball and being able to make plays. But
those reps for Wells will only make him better for future.
100%. I just think there's a training wheel process you have to go through it, and I think it really takes the ball out of your best player's hands because then you can't just shift to that in the playoffs. That's something that you kind of have to gear and gravitate to. I will say small sample size though, but prior to earlier in the year and then the way Ja's been playing lately is different. It's completely different. So if that was more of what they're going to do, I like that. But if it's prior to this year, if it's early in this year when you got Ja a lot of times spotting up in the corner, then yeah, he's probably going to axe out because that's just not his game.
I'm 100% on the side of trying to reach your ceiling at any means necessary. Taylor Jenkins was great, John. Nobody's going to say that he was bad. Far from. Nobody. If they say that to you, John, they're lying.
And he didn't earn the rest of the season.
I 100%.
Working together with his assistant, even if they were bashing heads.
The only reason why I say no is because it is fact. We all felt as if they were first-round exits. And if that was your ceiling, and that continues to be your ceiling every single year when you have great regular seasons and it's just always finishing in an underwhelming state, I would rather take a chance on a guy that can elevate our ceiling and potentially be way better than what we ultimately end up being every single year. Taylor Jenkins is going to go to another team, John, and he's going to be great. He's going to uplift that situation, no doubt. But I don't think that we were going to see that in Memphis, and that's okay.
Do you think there's a major?
Team, sorry, you go.
Sorry. Do you think there's a major difference between Taylor Jenkins and Tom Thibodeau?
A major difference stylistically, or just like
Stylistically, where they rank as coaches.
I love Tom Thibodeau.
What they're able to do, because Thibodeau has maximized some talent. You know, he's done a lot of good things with some rosters. The year that Julius Randle was there with Tom Thibodeau, we made the NBA playoffs his first season, and that was an underwhelming roster where Elfrid Payne started and Reggie Bullock, and we still made the playoffs. So I'm just asking because I kind of feel like Tom Thibodeau's in a boat of coaches that he's like really great, but is he the coach that's going to get over the hump? If he has the roster to, it's possible, but he's also not somebody that I consistently trust over other coaches in a playoff series.
Yeah, they're two different coaches. I have Jenkins like the 6th, 7th best coach in the NBA.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have him very
Who's
high.
in front of
He's
him?
been a great coach. I could pull up in a few minutes if I can. I guess
Him
to
or
wrap
Tyronn Lue?
up Tyronn Lue. To
Okay,
wrap
good.
up this conversation, I think where he's going to end up is San Antonio. We'll see what happens if Greg Popovich wants to continue coaching. There's so many health questions, hoping he's well. If he doesn't want to continue coaching, I look at one of the best head coaching opportunities we're going to ever see with Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and you're adding a lottery pick into
Cooper
that
Flag.
group. And then on the Grizzlies side of
Manifesting.
things, it's a move where we're going to have to wait and see. And I keep looking back on my phone because I don't want to butcher the pronunciation. Tomas Izolo.
Tomas Izolo.
Good
it's a
on
very
you. I
tough-
just keep calling him interim head coach out of respect.
It's a
for
very
him.
tough name to pronounce. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. I think he can be a very good coach, but this is almost like, to me, like Mike Budenholzer getting fired from the Hawks and you're promoting Quinn Snyder, where I think in a vacuum, Taylor Jenkins did such a wonderful job in the regular season that he earned the opportunity to have this playoff run. And you say that you thought they're going to be first-round exits. Right now, they're the 5th seed. They're at a 49-win pace. They'd be slated to play the Lakers. The Lakers are the best player in that series. I would say they're the second best player in that series. And I still give the Grizzlies a chance to win it. And a big part of that is because of what Taylor Jenkins built. And it's not because of the fact he has a better team. So this is a move that I think could really backfire. And I used that example of them taking their last huge big leap was trading up for Zaire Williams. And it really did not go well. So I'm quite skeptical. I like the Grizzlies front office. I love the work that they've done for the most part. But some of these leaps of faith have been questionable. So
I will
see what
say,
Zach Klein's
if
got.
he goes to the Spurs, that's a picture perfect situation, and that's a situation where at their ceiling he could compete for a championship. You know, because you have Victor Wembanyama, and that's the thing is a lot of coaching is not really about how great of a job you do. It's about the talent that you have, and the Grizzlies being a small market and not getting the lottery luck again, the first overall pick and a generationally great talent. You know, they're not in a position to just over talent a lot of teams. They have to win off of schematics. So if Taylor Jenkins goes to the Spurs, that's going to be a great move for him. Now the Boston Celtics have been on a win streak recently. You have them making the NBA Finals. Riv has the Cavaliers making the NBA Finals. John, has this swayed your opinion on the Celtics at all?
Have you been watching the show recently and listening to this guy over there talk about the Cavaliers?
I haven't been keeping an eye on that specifically. If there's something I missed. To me, I've looked at the Celtics the same way throughout this entire season, where they're the rightful favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. And this stretch is a good example of them playing their best basketball at a healthy kind of core. And when that 5 is healthier, Kristaps Porzingis, which in the playoffs, it can be a question. He missed more than half of the last postseason. They can be even better than last year. But to me, I don't think it's really swayed in my opinion because this is who I've always known the Celtics are. And it's them playing their best ball for the most important part of the season. The question is really just a matter of how you feel about their contemporaries and the Cavaliers, who are 5 games above and are in sole position of the number 1 seed. And to me, the Cavaliers had some bad stretches. They're their 4-game losing streak. The Canes, the Clippers, the Suns got them.
Oh, West Coast. That's funny.
And that to me was really an example of their defense is giving up a lot of open threes. Mobley missed the first game in that 4-game stretch, and I don't believe that's who they are defensively. And I'm not going to overestimate, over-exaggerate that stretch. I have the Cavaliers going to the finals, but that being said, the Celtics are the better team. I'm taking a leap of faith in this Cleveland group because I really believe that this year they've kind of built something where it gives them that feeling to me. But I'm not going to dismiss Celtics because right now, when they're healthy, they are the better team, and no one can really deny that.
You said something really valid right there, taking a leap of faith in the Cavaliers. That's what I felt like I was doing. Needed to smarten up. Needed to become more logical. And it's the Celtics. If the Celtics are healthy, I don't think they're going to lose in the Eastern Conference. I think they're going to make the NBA Finals. And matter of fact, I think this is such a great team that it's one of the best collection of talents that we've seen in modern NBA history.
100%.
Especially post-2000s, I think the roster that has been assembled is next level. And I have a list of names here of other all-time teams that have won NBA championships. A bit of an unfair comparison considering the fact that the Celtics could win this year and go back-to-back, or they could not. We do not know, but we know how good the roster is. How do you think they would fare against the 2019 Raptors, who would win in a 7-game series?
Toronto.
The thing is, on both sides of the ball, the more
Toronto's
well-rounded
defense was
team,
so insane.
and so is the Boston Celtics.
They have
a 7'2" guy who shoots 40% from three.
You had Kawhi Leonard,
Wait.
Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and then you've
what
got
do you
Serge
mean on
Ibaka,
both
Marc
sides of the
Gasol,
ball?
and Danny Green.
Offense and defense, they are the more
They had OG
well-rounded.
Anunoby on that team in the
Toronto
regular
was
season.
built defensively.
OG didn't
better.
play.
He doesn't
can't
count.
play in the
Are they
playoffs.
more
He doesn't
well-rounded
count.
than the
He played
Celtics?
60 games. What do you mean he doesn't count?
He was hurt for the playoff
But he was
run.
healthy for the regular season.
They
He
had
counts.
Kyle Lowry.
Come
They
on.
had Fred VanVleet. Then at the
Drew
guards,
Holiday,
then they
Derek
had
White, better.
They had Norman Powell.
They had
on the
Danny
team, too.
Green, Norman Powell, OG,
Norman Powell's worth better than
Kawhi.
that
Then they had Siakam and Gasol
I forgot.
running the bigs.
KP, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum is way better than their big three.
In terms of offense?
And considering both two-way
He
ability,
only
yes.
played 67
I
games
don't know
in
if
the
I
regular
agree with
season.
that.
He counts.
Yes.
I'm talking
I
about
don't
his
know if I
team.
agree with
KP's better than Pascal
hoisted the
Siakam, that
trophy.
version. Jalen Brown's better than every player not named Kawhi Leonard. And Jason Tatum's Jason Tatum.
Well,
Kawhi
Kawhi clears him.
At that point, no doubt.
Kawhi Leonard was the best
All
player
right,
in the
keep
world
it in your
that
pants,
year.
John. I will agree with
Keep
you.
in my pants. This is what we saw for a full playoff run.
He's
No one
right.
could stop
This
him.
is a 10-man rotation. I
It's,
don't know.
the
Yeah.
Celtics are bigger than just Jason Tatum, and that was evident last year.
Yeah, and so is that
when,
Raptors team,
when
though.
Jason Tatum did not play nearly at his best,
Right.
and it was not close.
Offensively, I would say no. That team, offensively, it was ride or die with Kawhi Leonard.
Yes.
There were stretches where that offense was so bad
Worked out.
without Kawhi.
And when are you gonna get a bad version of
They also
the
played a
Celtics
60
offense?
win.
You
I know it's
literally can get a
playoff
bad
thing,
version
but
of
they
Tatum
played
and
a
Jalen
60 win
Brown.
pace without
And they
Kawhi.
still will beat you by double digits.
They won't beat the Raptors by double
They
digits.
did it last season
Against who?
against
Dallas?
every team they played.
They played
No
Indiana.
team they played last playoffs was on
Toronto, it
Toronto's
clears
level or
Indiana.
nearly on that
100%.
What are you talking about? They ain't beat nobody.
I-
You
what-
sitting there looking
the
at them
way
like they can
I
fuck with
look at it
Toronto?
Is the 2019 Raptors and last year's Mavericks team different?
Yes.
Like drastically?
Yes.
Yes,
They have an offensive
They're way
player.
deeper, and they have way better.
The Dallas team wasn't deep.
Kyrie. After Kyrie, they had 4 guys that could
You had
consistently give you
Luka and
24.
Kyrie. Luka and Kyrie. That's one of
Keep
the
going.
best offensive backcourts we've ever
Keep
seen.
going.
But after those two,
Offensively,
their best
going.
players who?
PJ Washington, probably.
Or a rookie center off the bench.
PJ Washington be the what best player on the Raptors?
No doubt.
He'd be the 8th
Keep
man on that
going.
team.
But the defense, the front court, talking
Toronto's
about
defense, elite.
Okay,
If Marc
so
Gasol,
was the
Serge
Dallas
Ibaka.
Mavericks.
Yeah, Toronto's front court is
Marc
elite.
Gasol,
So
Years
you don't
we
think
saw the
Serge
Boston
Ibaka-
Celtics offense was against the Dallas
And
Mavericks.
Toronto could go small and big.
So can the Celtics.
They damn near
That's what I'm
didn't
saying. So
even
they
use
match
Serge
up
Ibaka.
perfectly with Boston.
but the thing is, you can't go
They
small
match up
against
perfectly with
Boston.
Toronto, too.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
they
perfect
both
matchup.
match
If you
up
get
well.
if you get what we're watching right now with the Celtics with a healthy Kristaps Porzingis, they are unguardable. You cannot stop them. They are unstoppable.
can guard Tatum.
And of course, oh damn it, there goes KP off the court. Here is Al Horford, who can do the not the exact same thing, but he can still stretch the floor.
And Luke Cornett's
As
been a
great
good
as-
backup big for them this year.
Luke Cornett's
He's been
solid.
good. I feel like
won't kill you.
the Celtics, I have a lot of respect for the Raptors.
Yeah,
the
so do
2019
I.
Raptors. I think the Celtics are more well-rounded.
They are.
I don't
The,
think
the
so.
Raptors, you can sell
not
me
a better
on.
offense.
You can sell me on their defense
The
being
Raptors are
better.
deeper.
I think that's where you lose
Offensively,
me
the
at.
Celtics,
Offensively,
they're
yes.
much better.
Yeah. And by the way,
Offensively,
you're
yeah.
listing all those defenders. You forgot to mention Danny Green, who last week you're considering
doubt.
taking top
I
5
agree
in
with you.
2009 redraft.
I agree with you.
And that was his best
Nah,
season.
that's top
Shot
10, not top
45%.
5. Top 5 is a little rich. It was the 8th
No,
overall pick.
he was debating.
I wasn't saying 5.
Yes, you were.
No, I
After
wasn't. It was like
after 5.
8,
You
9,
said, are we
10.
questioning? Are we thinking about Danny Green here?
It was like 8, 9, 10. Because 5 was.
It was
Drew-
definitely
Drew
around that
Holiday.
range. But no, you're not wrong. You're top 10 still,
Yes.
top 10.
I
We're gonna have to go
Little-
back because
still
I
a
edited the
little
video.
rich.
No, I'm 8, 9, 10.
I had it. Listen back a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
After that fifth
I
pick,
talked it.
After that 5th pick, we're talking about Jeff Teague and we're talking about Ty Lawson, and you go, does Danny Green enter the Matrix here? When I had these
shows how
videos, I
dog
listened
shit
back
the
to it 10
draft
times.
was.
But and that's his best season. Shot 45%
Draft was
from
dog
3.
shit, John.
So is the only reason that
That's
you're
like their
taking the
8th best
Raptors Kawhi Leonard?
Well, these two teams are structured very similarly, and I believe that with Nick Nurse and Joe Mazzulla, the coaching's great as well. So it really comes down to the top end talent, and I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard in that playoff.
Jesus Christ, John. The glaze is ridiculous, as if they don't have.
He was the best player in the
So
world.
of the four best players in the series, the
LeBron
Celtics
didn't
have
make playoffs
3.
that year, so it was Kawhi in the playoffs.
Okay,
Best player in the playoffs.
okay, John.
Kawhi was the
again.
best player in the world because Kevin Durant
Okay,
was hurt.
but you're also missing the point. They have the 3 of the 4 best players
If
in
he
the
was healthy, he was
series.
in conversation with him.
I'm just gonna keep ignoring this, John.
Sorry, what's up?
They have 3 of the 4 best players in the series. The Boston Celtics.
If that's the case,
They do.
fine.
Okay. And you're
Raptors are the best player, and Pascal Siakam was awesome that season.
He was.
Fred
He's not better than
VanVleet
KP with
played
all due
great in
respect, and I
finals.
love
Outside of the
Siakam.
NBA
So,
Finals,
obviously-
Pascal was all right.
Obviously, different era, but the Raptors that year were top 5 in offense and defense.
Okay.
So
what
like
was their offensive rating? What were they?
113. I'm actually surprised at that.
113 offensive rating?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Well, in that
And
era, yeah.
comparatively right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what, like in that era,
It's
yeah.
always compared to the year, though. They're top 5
And
in
the
offense.
Celtics can switch everything.
That
Yeah,
Raptor team.
that's gonna work for sure.
That Raptor
That's
team.
gonna work.
So
Yeah,
let me
they're
ask
small.
you a
That is
question.
going to
Offensively,
work.
when the Raptors go up against the Celtics defense, what are the Celtics sweating? Kawhi Leonard, right? Kawhi Leonard.
That's it.
Kawhi
Okay.
Leonard.
That's it.
They're a good 3-point
Kyle
shooting team.
Lowry's a
though.
playoff choker.
The best 3-point shooting
Before-
team of our right now is the Boston
But
Celtics by a lot.
Before the
Toronto's probably gonna
Raptors,
live and die with one-on-one
before the
matchups.
Raptors won that championship, Kyle Lowry was viewed as a playoff choker.
With DeMar DeRozan. With Kawhi Leonard, it was different.
Yeah, but how many points did he average in that playoff run? Like
16?
15, 16?
I can look at it. I have it up right now.
Yeah, I think Derek White or Kyle Lowry.
Derek White, Drew Holiday, or Kyle Lowry.
That's closer.
And I
Yeah,
would
now.
still
Yeah,
go
that's
Drew
closer.
Now
Holiday.
that's closer.
That's closer.
Yeah.
Last year's Drew Holiday?
But Drew Holiday over Danny Green for sure. Derek
on.
White over Kyle Lowry.
Yes.
Jalen Brown
Kyle Lowry
over
averaged
Siakam.
Kyle Lowry averaged 15 and 7 in the playoffs.
Like, I do think
What were
the
efficiencies?
Celtics,
Curious.
Solid.
if we're measuring their starting
EFG
lineup,
53.
the Celtics
Not bad.
are better at 4 of the 5 positions. Porzingis is better than Gasol or
But basketball
Ibaka.
doesn't play that way.
Yeah, no, Toronto played like 9
not
guys,
that way.
20 minutes.
No, I know. With
Celtics-
Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell,
Yeah.
The
Serge
Celtics are
Ibaka.
still going 7-8 strong.
They are.
Yeah, give me Toronto's 9 and 7.
Oh my god.
If it goes 7, I'm
They
gonna
definitely
take
I
have
do
role
think it'd
players
be
that are
great,
better.
but I'm going with Toronto. I think it'd be a 7-game series, but I'm going with Kawhi in Game 7.
Okay, the other team I wanted to mention was the
Pascal Siakam averaged 19 in the playoffs.
the 2011 Mavericks.
Give me both.
I think I'm thinking about the
Swept.
Sixers series that
they
Siakam
swept
was
the
was
back-to-back
all right.
champs.
The Lakers team was not that good that year.
They had the same exact core.
They were not. Just go watch that game. They were
weren't
not
that
that
good
same
that year.
team.
I know. I
This team
understand
is a little
that.
older.
They still
less
swept Kobe
athletic.
Bryant, probably.
And you get respect for that. They also beat the Spurs, like we spoke about prior. They get a lot of acknowledgement for that, no doubt. They beat the Big Three Heat when LeBron
Tell
was at
Oklahoma
his
City.
absolute worst. This is one of the better rings in NBA history.
I think it's a top 3 championship.
Let's
of all time.
not undermine that. Who's a better team? The 2025 Boston Celtics.
Oh, I agree. I just want to
Okay.
praise the
No,
2011
as you
Mavericks.
should.
Dirk
And I got it.
Nowitzki
Because
switching
it's
out
all
on the
about
perimeter.
talent here, but people said it was all about talent when they were playing the Lakers in the second round. People had them losing that series, and they kicked the Lakers' ass.
They were underdogs in every series, man.
And exactly, if they're underdogs here, I mean, I'm going to show them a lot of respect.
You're just disrespecting the Boston Celtics.
The 2010 Lakers.
This one's tough.
Telling me 7-game series to the wire. It's Kobe versus Tatum.
I think
Give me
this
Kobe.
is more of a like outside of Kobe Bryant, who is scaring you offensively for the Lakers.
Ron
They're playing
Artest will
two
put Jalen
totally
Brown in a
different-
box.
Two totally different eras of basketball.
box.
This is going to be
It is.
a Laker team that
Well,
was
Ron
winning
Artest
games
probably guards
89-90.
Tatum, or does Kobe take that assignment? Because Kobe probably would take.
Kobe
that
could take
assignment.
Jalen Brown. Box. Ron Artest could take
He
Jason
would box
Tatum.
him.
Box?
Yeah,
They got Bynum and Pau Gasol.
I'm sorry,
what do we
guarding?
mean box?
Who's guarding Pau Gasol?
he would lock him up.
Like he's averaging less than
Who's
how many
guarding
points?
Pau Gasol?
Porzingis.
KP.
So then who's guarding
I
Bynum?
think Tatum is guarding.
I was gonna say
It could
Tatum
be
can
Tatum.
Tatum's
guard.
guarding. Yeah, Tatum was guarding a center.
Tatum cannot guard Pau Gasol.
He was guarding a center last year in the playoffs.
Name the
Different
center.
player.
Name the center.
Derek Lively. I
Now
mean,
you're about
he's
to
not
make me
guarding
mad
centers
saying
for
can
that.
defend
post
up.
moves.
Name the center.
He can
And what
defend.
about
Name the
Pascal
center.
I
Siakam?
won't name the center.
Name
He can
the
defend
no,
up.
no, 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 no.
Did he
No,
not
but you're
guard
all
Pascal
nice, and I
Siakam?
won't.
Because
I
you
won't.
name
I
the
won't.
center.
Tatum's
John, just
defending
say
the center.
Pascal Siakam. Just say
Pau
Pascal.
Gasol has way more post game.
Oh, no.
by far
I
on the
get it.
block. It's not
But
even close.
Tatum
Oh, dude,
defends.
please pull up some
Ben
highlights.
No,
Siakam.
absolutely, but I'm just saying Siakam has great post work.
Oh no, it's way
Stop.
harder to guard.
Dude, that ain't
Gasol.
and he's
This
7
year,
feet.
this year,
Nowhere close to
Siakam
Powell,
has, I think, top 7 post ups.
That doesn't tell you about their post.
No, I'm just saying
that
he
doesn't tell you
does
about
it
their
at a
post-up, bro.
Gasol was so
egregious
good.
rate.
He
No,
made an All-Star
absolutely.
at like 35.
No,
Wow.
Pau Gasol is an all-time
How's that,
great.
man?
Tatum scaled
And
up
all-
to guard
yeah.
Powell.
But I'm just saying Tatum guarded up
No,
against
Renaissance.
Siakam too, and Siakam's far from
Siakam's
the
more
ball.
his size. Siakam's 6'8".
Pau is no,
He's
he
6'9". He's 6'9".
Okay, Tatum's 6'9", same size.
Yeah.
Jalen Brown guards
Gasol's
Kobe.
7 feet tall. That's not even like that's a power forward now and that type. That's a big man. That's a legit big man.
6'8"
That's
versus 7
different.
foot,
That's
no, it's
scaling up
tougher.
completely different. Now the Lakers defensively, they played him too big. Trouble.
I was gonna say
Trouble.
this is where again they're a mismatch for every team they're gonna go up against.
But that's
But
a
it's
But they could also
Also,
play small with Lamar
it's-
Odom
facts.
It's challenging because when you make
Do you
this
want to go
comparison,
small against the Celtics?
if you got to play.
You're
that, you gotta play that
comparing
way.
beating the Celtics. You have to pack the paint. So like, why do you think?
Do you?
Why do you think they struggle with teams like Cleveland? Like, because they have the Twin Towers that can go mobile. Like, if Pau Gasol could step out, hit the mid range, now you have 2 big men. Of course, you're going to struggle because Bynum's going to get killed in switches, like a different era. But you want, like, even when they played Philly, like, Embiid didn't, he's not the all-world beater, but those are the teams they usually struggle with, those teams that have that dominant big. Like, that's why they don't want to play the Joker.
But this year, well, fair. Nobody wants to play him. That being said, their offense is threes.
No, yeah, their offense. That's what I'm saying. Like, if the
That's
Lakers,
what I'm saying.
the Lakers guarding Boston,
That's
Listen,
what I'm
dude,
talking about.
basketball has changed so much the last 14 years between
That's a fact.
2010
Yes.
and 2024. I think it's unfair to look at this solely through the lens of one of the most modern offenses of all time, one of the most modern teams of all time, with a very, very big traditional throwback team.
Agreed.
If you're going to look at it solely through that lens, then the Celtics are going to win the series, but I don't think that's fair when you look at how different the 2010 NBA Finals were compared to the 2024. So,
I agree.
but like better team
That's
to
not-
me.
it's not
So
the
what you're
question.
saying that in this
That's just not
style,
the
the
question.
Celtics win.
Yeah, because it's a modern.
In that
it's a
style, the
modern
Lakers
version.
win.
Yeah, it's a modern version. So usually you're always gonna find something that's better than the previous.
But who would you?
model.
So right now,
Yeah, I'm
you
confused. Who
would
would you
take
take?
you would take the Celtics then.
I would take the Lakers, but
Wait, what?
in the lens that I look at it in a different lens than you guys,
Clearly.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
because you're comparing 2 totally different eras of basketball.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And I
We're
think
just talking about roll the ball,
all right,
roll
here's
the ball
the
on
thing,
the court.
and I
roll the
understand
ball
what
on the
you're
court. You plop the 2010 Lakers into today. The Celtics are winning, but the better team to me was the 2010 Lakers.
So, because I understand what you're saying, because I'm not taking the 2025 Boston Celtics over the 96 Bulls. I'm not doing that. So I understand, even if it's different eras.
Yeah.
Because you have to respect the
It
all-time
was
greatness of the
especially
team.
that Laker team.
So, but
too,
here's the
played
thing.
so
I'm
different.
saying that I would still take the 96 Bulls over this 2025 Boston Celtics team. I'm still staying consistent. I would take this 2025 team over the 2010 Lakers.
Yeah, 2010 Lakers, Lamar Odom, Shannon
don't hate
Brown, Jordan Farmar off the bench. No, they had some depth, but no, I think it's reasonable to think that too. The last team I'll mention with this comparison is the 2008 Celtics.
It's
I'm going to
similar.
go with Celtics, but same story.
It's similar conversations.
Similar
That
conversation.
4,
You can help out. You can help off of Rondo though.
yeah, but he's also gets the
Oh.
paint consistently.
07 Spurs or 2025 Celtics.
That defense was crazy, man. That defense was crazy.
They also faced a Cleveland team that had no other offensive threat outside.
Well,
of
their
LeBron.
finals was the West. Their finals wasn't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like but I think like what John said, and I want to touch on that a little bit. Modern NBA versus past NBA. Modern NBA, he picks it because obviously we get better as the years progress. But where's the theory of them forcing Boston or these other teams forcing Boston to play that style as opposed to Boston forcing them to play their style?
How do you play that style?
It's-
How do you
it's hard,
force the
'cause
Celtics
threes
into
are more
that?
than 2.
Well, that's why I'm giving you a team like 07 Spurs because now you have Tim Duncan, somebody who is going to completely alter the way you play, along with Tony Parker, along with Manu Ginobili.
Definitely.
Or maybe like even going back, give me 02, 01 Lakers, where now you have Kobe and Shaq. So now Shaq alters you to play a completely different way than how you want to play because you can't scale down. You can't have Tatum at the 4, Porzingis at the 5 because now you're
Shaq's
just
the
like
drum
You can't play
sitting there.
small.
You can't play
Top
small because
5
now you're
peak
sitting
of
here
all
with
time. He's
Shaq.
gonna take over.
Or
I'm
even
with you.
like a team
I mean, even the Lakers was a good example. I mean,
That
you
was a
have
good
to
example.
you have
To a
to
smaller
play
scale,
to Paul
for sure.
Gasol. Like I understand the Pascal Siakam point that you made, but
Yeah.
Siakam is like 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah.
So like versus Gasol, it's just a different dynamic. Gasol today would be a center
For sure.
like absolutely. So I think I understand your point. You know, you got to make the Celtics play to their style, and that's a slower
It's
approach.
hard to do that though, because their game is so 3-centric.
For sure. But I don't think they've
Times
played,
half.
with all due respect to Embiid, outside of in the Joker, obviously he's in the West. They don't play consistent, dominant bigs in the playoffs
Yeah.
that
in
warrant
the
them to
day.
change. Yeah, that warrant them
agree.
to change their style of play.
I'm with you.
Like, so they're able to, and of course it's effective. I'm not even about to say it's effective. It works for them. They have the players for it.
Yeah.
Like, but when you go into a playoff series, you have to schematically scheme up against a team, and now you have to play a different style because you have a completely different. Like, no offense to Indiana. No offense to Cleveland. No, who else they play? The Heat. But they don't have no altering, changing big to where they have to change how they play. No, but then you go up against
Shout
these
out Bam, though.
teams. Yeah, fact. Shout out Bam, but you don't have to change how you play for Bam. All
You're the
respect to
best,
Bam. But like when you go up against a Shaq, shit, you go up against a Dirk. Now you go up against a Pau Gasol to a smaller level. Those are the teams where you're like, now we have to change the
See,
way we
what
play
about
a little bit.
Giannis though?
No, because he is. I don't think he's the
fucking
same.
shit up in that
But you understand what I
2022
mean? Like
series.
they went up
Without
against
Middleton,
Giannis.
Game
But
seven
I don't
without
think
Middleton.
he's
That's
not the
fair,
same
but this
as
isn't
Shaq.
the same Celtics that was in 2022.
That's a fact. But he's not
True.
the same as Shaq. Like I don't even think he's the same as Pau Gasol in a sense. Like I think Giannis
better.
likes.
That's why.
Like I think
He's better than Pau by a lot.
He's better. But if you watch Pau Gasol play and you watch
I
Giannis
get-
play,
I get it.
Pau Gasol works in the mid range on the elbow or on the block. Giannis likes to work on the block, but he likes to get the ball in the face
perimeter.
up.
Agreed,
Yeah.
100%.
Pau Gasol likes to back you down. So there's still even different type of bigs. Like that's why I think Giannis is different than even those bigs. He doesn't even like to screen too much. He's not that type of big. He's a different big. So like even when they played him and they just built the wall.
Yeah.
You can't really build the wall against Shaq unless you got that 5. Like the reason why it worked for Detroit is Ben Wallace is just as strong as Shaq. He may not be as tall, but he's just as physically strong. If you go up against Shaq now, obviously we're just Shaq all-time great player, but just talking about all-time teams, you go up against Shaq now, you can't just run out Luke Cornett and Kristaps
No
Porzingis or Al Horford. Like Porzingis just doesn't have the size.
No.
Like none of them do. So now you're like, all right, we can shoot them to death, but if we keep coming down this court, keep getting wear down by Shaq, getting in foul trouble.
Then again,
Hey,
It's
you
like-
said
you put
0-1.
Shaq in pick and roll from the 3-point line.
That's a
20
fact.
feet.
For sure,
I mean,
for
No,
sure,
the
for
scores
sure.
the scores would be outrageous. I will say, if we're talking about the 01 Lakers, the 2000 Lakers, it's a different conversation because you're talking about Shaq. But again, we're talking about the 2010 Lakers, which they are a great team, but they don't have that overwhelmingly dominant paint presence the way that obviously Shaquille O'Neal is. And that's not saying a lot because, of course, Shaquille O'Neal is one paint presence player.
Tracks. Yeah.
I just feel like with Shaquille O'Neal, we often view him in the lens of when he was on the Lakers and he was just so wide and so big and overbearing
Orlando.
that it's like, okay, if that Shaq was in this era, yeah, he probably wouldn't be able to step out there. But when he was in Orlando, he
so
was
athletic.
like in his perfect physique, like perfect.
Even early days Lakers, like when he first got there, he was there. Like,
that
physically
Shaq,
was
I think, would
crazy.
be able to keep up on the perimeter
I agree.
and be
Just take care of your
serviceable.
body, Shaq.
Yeah,
Honestly,
like I think he would be able to do that, and then he at that point it'd just be unstoppable on both ends. So that's kind of weird to me. Like whenever we talk about Shaq, it's like, okay, let's use like the biggest version of Shaq, but let's just take away the fact that maybe he could have looked like Orlando Shaq, and he could have looked like in perfect physique, and he could have maybe guarded out in perimeter. So old eras is always fun. I think the Celtics are heading in that trajectory, especially if they win back-to-back titles. We're going
they
to talk
won't, but I
about
would
them
get
as an all-time team, and I think
They're not winning this year?
they're favorites for a reason. I think they
OKC
will
is the
make it
only
out
one
the
that would
East.
scare me if I'm a Celtic fan.
nobody
only
should scare
team.
you from the Celtics.
OKC has watched them.
Yeah, but I, like in terms of just like when you fresh off a championship and when you doing it again, like you shouldn't fear nobody.
See, the thing is, the Nuggets probably didn't go into that Timberwolves series stressed.
Yeah.
But they
You should be stressed.
It got hot. It got hectic
And
quick.
that's the difference. Because
Yeah.
you should be stressed.
Whenever you
If you're
play in,
Boston,
you got to be stressed.
right? He always does that. If you're Boston, definitely look at OKC like we're stressed. Don't be scared. Don't be feared. Like you definitely got to go in there. Like we still got the experience. Better team for sure. I think OKC it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Like I hope one of those 3 teams I really want to win it. Like out of Boston, OKC, Cleveland, because they're having historic seasons. And it would be a shame if none of them win it because it's like all we're gonna hear all summer is, oh, they choked it. They had this historic year. Blah blah blah. It's all about the playoffs. Like we're just gonna forget about
If
their
none of
regular
them
season.
win it, it's because the Warriors do.
Okay, John, you're with him.
They're top 5. When it comes to like the teams most likely to win a championship, they're top 5.
I mean, not. I don't hate it.
back,
Steph
baby.
Curry's amazing. You know, whenever he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Lakers defense recently. They can't be in this conversation right now, respectfully.
Pick a side, my brother in Christ.
Yeah, I'll pick a side, and I'm picking against LeBron because his defense cost the Lakers the game.
He did.
picking
And what about the night
theoretic.
before?
He be
Thank
trolling.
God for LeBron
They
James's
won.
tip.
They won. Don't matter. They won.
Take it as you will, baby.
You know, Luka Doncic picks and chooses, and ultimately, you know, LeBron James.
You know what
sold
killed
it.
me? Because the comment section was an interesting one yesterday. There was this one guy who was adamant. He was upset with me saying that why am I talking about Luka Doncic's defense? People like to pick and choose what they listen to. I said, well, I can't even really talk about Luka Doncic yesterday because it was primarily LeBron James that sold the game. People like to pick and choose. Riv, I was telling you this on the way in. People are very selective listeners, as am I at times. Of course, aren't we all? But
Yeah, you guys talk about the Stephen A.
But
stuff.
that Pacers game, we almost lost because of Luka's defense down the stretch. We lost against the Bulls because of LeBron's lackadaisical activity on both the offensive and defensive side last night as well. The difference is we won that Pacers game, thank God. We just lost against the Bulls.
Yeah.
I feel like the
LeBron's,
Celtics.
you saw LeBron's video of him trolling Stephen A.
The boxing?
Yeah, I did.
That's
The
legendary.
Celtics and Cavaliers, think obviously the best two teams in the East. Who's the third?
It's the
Between
Indiana
the
Pacers.
Pacers, between the Knicks.
To Detroit Pistons.
I, as a fan of the game, would love
pushing
to see
that,
the
man.
Pistons make a run. As a fan of the game,
No K
it
tonight.
would be amazing.
Again.
What, fourth game in a row? Third.
Maybe
His
third.
calf, right? Something
Yes.
like that. It's the Indiana Pacers. The 5 that they run with Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Pascal Siakam, and Miles Turner. This is a lineup that has over 1,000. It's one of the most well-rounded starting 5s in basketball. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton is the weak link on the defensive side there, but what he's been able to provide for you on the offensive side is something that no other guard right now is doing, with how efficient he is at scoring the basketball and how efficient he is as a playmaker as well. The fact that Pascal Siakam is arguably giving you his best basketball in his NBA career. On the defensive side, this is one of the best performances that he's given. You look at Miles Turner, his ability to stretch the floor as well. That's valuable in any playoff series. Benedict Mathurin taking the game in his leap. And it's been underwhelming to watch Andrew Nembhard this year on the offensive
Taking the
side.
game in his leap.
Did I say something wrong?
He said.
Taking a game in his leap?
I was picking up what you're putting down.
But when I look at the Knicks, I think that their ceiling as an offense may be slightly higher than the Indiana Pacers. It's just that defense is genuinely concerned with me when it comes to Jalen Brunson, when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. What's going to happen on that side? Who are we going to rely on to be our third option there? If Karl Anthony Towns is struggling, can we rely on Mikal Bridges to uplift? I believe in OG Anunoby. I, in my opinion, believe OG Anunoby is the third best player for the New York Knicks. But again, this is a team that, for the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson, get back soon, get healthy soon. Yeah. Because with the way that the Pacers have been playing basketball, this is one of the most efficient offenses, and they are a respectable defense. They are far from being that defense that they were last year, that the offense was carrying them. When they have their starting 5, which they will be playing a lot more minutes come playoff time, I trust the Indiana Pacers.
This is a tough question because last year the Knicks were the better team. And since then, the Pacers have gotten better, and the Knicks have lost a part of their identity, which did make them better last year before, of course, they go to 7 games, and the Knicks get washed out because their entire lineup was decimated. With the way that Tyrese Halliburton is playing right now, they just hung up 162 points last night, which is like the 16th most in a single game all time.
Oh, I actually saved that.
The volatility that this Pacers team has offensively, coupled with them having Benedict Mathurin healthy, he was not there last season, and then you get a little bit more chemistry for an offense that was elite, is why I'm going to slightly favor them here. But that being said, if Jalen Brunson comes back off this ankle injury and he performs at the way he has in the postseason, then that can mitigate almost all of that. So I think this is a tight discussion, but I would give a slight edge to Indiana and the way they're playing for a second year. It's been a very underrated team, and I think they do get a little bit disrespected because of last year they faced some injured teams.
Indiana's been my squad, man.
Since Domantas Sabonis.
That's You're really my dog.
Been there
You're really my dog.
for a while.
You're early, man.
It hurt.
Early, man.
It hurt. But we've been here this year.
That's a fact.
Basically all year.
Knicks or Pacers? That's a tough conversation.
Assuming Brunson's at his best.
Of course. I don't like to assume nothing of the worst. If Brunson's at his best,
He's still the best player in the series.
I'd take the Knicks. The defense is definitely a cause for concern. Indiana's quietly been a middle of the pack defense this year, so I guess that's something that's good.
Big step forward.
Big step forward for sure. Offensively, they've been just as great. They've been great on that end. You mentioned it. You think Nembhard's an elite defender. I think he's good. We can just meet in the middle with that one.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we could just meet in the middle with that one.
He'll show up come playoff time.
Yeah, we'll meet in the
Coming
middle.
a long way.
And I think Halliburton's been playing really great late. So you have an Indiana team that's kind of getting hot at the right time, kind of just playing perfect basketball. Like you mentioned, they hung 160 points on Washington. That shit was crazy. Everything was going in. With the Knicks,
in the third.
they've been caught in a bad position because you lost Brunson, kind of been dropping some games. And then, of course, the cat thing has been lingering all year. Mitch is, he's been, when he has been in, you can feel his presence on the court, defensively, on the glass. You can feel his presence. Mm-hmm. But do you trust that front court health-wise going into the playoffs? I don't know. I think I'll still take the Knicks, though. I think offensively, their ceiling, for me, feels a bit higher in a playoff atmosphere, especially in a half-court offense. I think I still trust Brunson in those spots. I do think Indiana can beat them. I don't think the Knicks are these world beaters. I think Indiana has a legit shot in that series. But I saw Brunson last year against the Sixers, man, and he was special. Like 40 points, 30 points, guarding them to some W's. In Indiana series, I truly feel if the Knicks didn't get as banged up as they would have won that series in like 6-7 games. So I think this year they've gotten slightly worse on the defensive end, but they got so much better on the offensive end, in my opinion. And I think that's a series Cat can have fun in. I do think that's a series where he's not, he shouldn't play too bad against a Miles Turner Siakam front court. That's not to say Siakam is a bad defender. I just think there are much better defensive repertoires in the league. So I would still take the Knicks. But I think Indiana's right there. I think that's a 60-40 series, 50-50, however you want to slice it.
Styles make fights. I think in the series, the Knicks probably do beat the Indiana Pacers because I think they just match up with them. You have OG Anunoby guarding Siakam. You have Mikal Bridges guarding Tyrese Halliburton. I think they could really do their thing in the pick and roll and pick us apart and generate a lot of threes. That scares me, but there's just no answer for Jalen Brunson that the Pacers have. Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith tried to do their best last year. Didn't really work. The Knicks just fell apart because of injuries. I just look at this one stat, though, and this is how I'm going to answer this question. I think between the Pacers and the Knicks, who has a better chance to beat Boston and to beat Cleveland? I think the Pacers' style and how they play is harder to game plan against and harder to guard. The Knicks are very stagnant, very stationary, and they have two liabilities on defense that they can pick apart to death on the offensive side of the ball. With the Pacers, it's a lot of movement in their offense. It's tougher to guard. We saw that they gave the Celtics their toughest challenge, even though it was a sweep. We saw how close every single game came down to. And you look at the Pacers this year against 500 teams, 16-14. The Knicks record against 500 teams, 11-18.
And in one of those games, Tyrese Halliburton scored goose.
That's a fact.
And what I worry about with the Knicks is just the bench. They're 30th in bench points. Indiana is 8th in bench points, which means not only can they run, not only can they go fast, but they are energized. They are not gassed. With the Knicks, it's about, are they going to play 40 minutes in the playoffs? Right now, they're playing like 38 minutes per game. In the playoffs, we might see that number jump up to 42, 43. We might see Josh Hart play the entire game like he did last year. And at that point, you're gassing out these dudes. And I think against Indiana, when they could just run you to death, that's just very hard to guard. I think they are a much tougher matchup for the Celtics or the Cavaliers than the Knicks.
That's where Tom Thibodeau can kind of be his own worst enemy. You're playing OG Anunoby 37 minutes a game in the playoffs with his injury history, and then we saw last year as well some of their other guys. And that's what gives me a lot more confidence in Rick Carlisle, championship head coach.
Who's a better coach?
Rick Carlisle.
Over Tibbs?
I think so.
I love Tibbs.
I didn't think you were going to say that.
How long is Tibbs' leash in New York?
I think he has a pretty long leash. I think he's the reason why we're relevant now. And like I said, like the Taylor Jenkins thing, sometimes it's just about talent. If Tom Thibodeau was coaching the Celtics, I mean, yeah, he could win. He was coaching OKC, I think they could win, But the Knicks, it's Jalen Brunson and this cat and this McKellen and this OG. It's a good roster, but it's not an elite roster.
So I'll ask you this. If a lot of coaching, in your opinion, is about like quote unquote luck and, you know, being in better situations, how do we evaluate what makes a coach elite?
What do you do with what you're given?
I think for the most part, it's underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes
Because you
down
used to knock Nick Nurse, man. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
You used to knock Nick Nurse.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
was
Carlisle,
right.
too.
Look what he's doing right now with the Sixers.
Their team is dog shit.
Yeah, what about last year?
What happened last year?
They weren't all that last year either.
Didn't they make the playoffs?
I mean, last year
Embiid played 30 games.
Amazing, yeah. In those games they played, it was amazing.
Didn't they take out a
best
six?
of his
Yeah,
career
Pierce
past
last
was
year,
known
didn't he?
for like developing
He had
players, and
70
then
against
the
Wemby.
Sixers had no depth.
Facts.
You know,
He
for
had
me,
70 against Wemby.
I think it's about underperforming
No, he had 70, but
relative to expectation. Like
I don't know the exact number.
the Knicks, the expectation right now this year
ECF.
is to get to the not ECF. I don't think no more. Before the season short. Right now, the second round. That's the expectation. If they lose in the first round, you have to reevaluate Tom Thibodeau.
Okay.
So when you underperform relative to expectation, I think that's when you get knocked and dinged as a coach. And Tibbs' philosophy is susceptible to giving up a lot of open threes. And that's a big reason why we lost the Atlanta Hawks. But we also didn't have Mitchell Robinson in that series, and that was huge for our rim protection. So I think Tom Thibodeau, like, he's a good coach, but I don't know if he's a ceiling raiser either. You know, he's not revolutionizing anything. He's just the type of coach that, okay, our teams are going to play harder than yours, but in the playoffs, when you need more schematics, it's not really there.
How many elite coaches are in the NBA?
Eric Spoelstra.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mark Daigneault is an elite coach.
Ty Lue.
Ime Udoka
Joe
and Ty Lue.
Mazzulla.
Ime is an elite coach.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. He's an elite coach. Are we calling Jason Kidd an elite coach?
I think he's good.
I'm not.
Okay. I know that
He's similar to Thibodeau.
there's been no coach that's been more volatile next to Tom Thibodeau than Jason Kidd. That's why I ask. I feel like you could argue Tom Thibodeau is an elite coach. I think Tom Thibodeau is one of my most underrated.
We can bring like
half
10,
the
15
league.
guys
Half
in.
the league would be elite coaches in.
I disagree.
I don't
Think
trust-
about the floor raising that he does for teams. Think
about
about
the
how
ceiling
much.
raising Rick Carlisle does in Indiana. I think Carlisle's a better coach.
I don't
I don't
overly
look at
disagree.
him as an elite coach. I think he's good, pretty
I
good.
think there's only like 4, 5.
Like Thibodeau, he is playing these starters an egregious amount of minutes. I won't disagree, but you could argue there's a part of me that feels like he has to do that.
I don't think so.
I'm not overly infatuated with this Knicks bench.
I like Deuce. Deuce should get more minutes.
Well, Deuce does play.
Mitch should get him. Well, he's back now. You got to try Kolek. Like, you got to just,
Dottie
just
should get
try
more
it.
minutes.
Yeah,
He
you
should
got to
play.
just
Okay.
try things, bro. Like, honestly, I know it ain't the best, but
And Porty got hurt, but Ariel
Yeah, he was
Porty,
barely playing.
but
He should've
before
played more.
Mitchell Robinson came back,
was good in
he wasn't
spots.
playing, and he was good when he played, and he definitely energized the team. So
would
I
you
don't know.
call
I just
Kenny
feel like
Atkinson
he
elite?
doesn't play
That's the name I
people.
was
He's
thinking.
been elite this season,
He can
especially
be.
for the way that he's
Too
raised the
small
ceiling.
sample size, but he can be.
But he's a dude that
He's on his way.
He raised the ceiling of the Cavaliers. They weren't
Yeah.
this
You got
with
to, you got to
JB.
see.
I agree.
You got to see him in the playoffs.
He's on his way because it's been the 1 year, but it's been incredible.
Yeah. Would y'all consider Mike Malone elite? I never thought he was elite.
no,
I think he's a great coach, though.
Yeah, he's
I think he is a great
he's
coach.
pretty good.
JJ's on his way.
Got to see what he do in the
On his
playoffs
way.
for sure.
JJ Redick.
On his way.
Oh yeah, he is on
Gotta
his
see what
way.
he's doing
I
in
mean,
the
I think
playoffs for
JJ's going to be in.
Let me ask you guys a question. Are we done with Will Hardy?
No, I like Will Hardy.
I'm asking.
The Jazz roster.
I just don't
is
like
terrible.
the Jazz.
Why would I
roster.
be done with him?
I don't like his roster. I
hate the
really,
roster,
I hate
I
the
do.
roster.
I do.
like him as a coach.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I hate the Jazz.
would've
He had
loved-
one of the funniest clips of the year.
If he was
too.
in Portland, I'd be moved.
I respect
Portland.
Chauncey, though.
I think Will Hardy's better.
Johnson's done a very solid job.
Chauncey's he's moved
the
me.
clip
Chauncey's
that
not
Will
bad.
Hardy had when Dolan Connect rained a lot of threes in
That
them.
was
he
an
goes,
amazing clip. Everybody knew that he was going to shoot the ball
The
except
only,
the 5
issue,
players
the
on
only
the court.
issue is that the people in the building that didn't were the ones on our team. And the clip just cuts out.
That was a good one.
He's a really, really good coach.
He's just in a
that's been
bad
given
situation.
Bad
Mark
talent.
Daigneault, first years in OKC, they weren't the best either. I think he suffered the worst blowout loss in
Lost
NBA
by
history.
70. Who? Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies. Oh.
Yeah, so you know,
Surprise.
I just think that
Surprise.
when it comes to that, you know, sometimes you're
that.
just in a situation that's just so bad. It's a rebuilding
thought?
situation. And the Jazz, I think, you know, they don't have a lot of great.
Their best prospect
last
is
one is Missoula elite.
Yes,
I think he's,
I think he
he's
is
trending
elite.
there.
I think he
wanna-
is elite.
absolutely.
I
He's-
have like 4 elite
He's
coaches.
like
he could get there.
he has like the Steve Kerr cloud, because when Steve Kerr walked into the league, He walked into Steph Curry and stuff like that.
He
But
raised their ceiling.
yeah, they were fresh off a first round exit.
Yep.
7 games. So he raised their ceiling. With Boston, his is a little heightened because Boston is coming, they were coming off like an ECF or finals or whatever. I think finals and then ECF.
Finals.
Yes, finals. And then he got there and then boom, they like just went back and won a chip. So it's like.
But they were better last year than they were in the finals 22 against
he
Warriors.
basically took the same roster and just made him so much better. I mean, he got Drew.
They did get KP and Drew.
Yeah, so
Very
like
big deal.
Which
elite,
definitely
Very big
matters.
his thing is always going to be, is he elite or is his team? But he's great. I think he's a great coach. I think we don't have to call everybody elite. I think he's a great coach. Elite is probably for like 3 or 4 guys.
Steve Kerr, Spoelstra.
Yeah, you got Steve Kerr
Spoelstra,
always because he has 4.
Ime,
So you give
I'm
him,
putting a lot of stock in Jordy.
I think for me,
Jordy's
He's in the Will Hardy camp.
Jordy's going to be
I
up there
think
too.
Missoula's in the Kenny Atkinson camp.
I would go Spo.
Of young coaches that can be
Spoker.
ranked a lot higher in the
Spoker.
next couple of years.
Spo, Kerr. Who the hell?
If you want to have Kerr,
Elite,
Ty
you're
Lue.
saying?
coach,
Ty Lue
Yeah.
for sure. Ime.
E-Man. That would be the 4 for me.
Okay.
I think Mark is great.
I think Mark is elite. I think he's elite.
I don't. He's 5. I'll put him
he's
5.
turned. Okay.
Did I
I'll put
leave
him
him
5.
out?
No, you included him. You included him.
Spo, Ime,
Mm-hmm.
Mark,
Can't put Mark
Tyron.
over Ty. I can't. I gotta wait on that.
Of course.
The defense, I know they have the personnel, but
Ty defense
they've
has always
missed
been elite.
one of their 2 bigs for a good portion of their season, and it did not matter.
Ty's missed all his players for like the past 3 or 4 years.
And they do
they-
have a
look
great
at them.
defense with Harden and Amir
That's
Coffey.
that's a good point.
Like
Their
it's
defense
unfortunate
is
for
great.
Ty.
Their defense
and
is
Norman
great.
Powell.
Yeah, he like, dude, it was a playoff series, 2 playoff series where he just stopped playing a big.
Yeah.
He was just like, yo, I'm just gonna adjust. I think it was against Dallas and the
went
Jazz
back
where
and
he was
forth.
just like, yo, fuck this, bro. I'm going with my lineup, small ball, and I'm just not playing a big. And that was Zubac minutes dropping, Pat Bev minutes.
Ty
started
Lue's
to drop.
definitely elite.
Yeah, so you know, Ty, he just.
He's
I just
deal
want to
so
make
much
sure Mark's
bullshit,
elite
too.
too. You could say Ty's better.
I think he's
than him.
5.
Okay,
I think he's
but
got
he's
Kerr
the
above him.
5th elite.
Who do you have about Kerr?
Kerr, you gotta put Kerr up just to respect. Spo's 1 to me. I don't think
Easy.
nobody's taking
Yeah,
Spo's
no.
spot. I think Udoka's a better coach than Mark, and I go Ty Lue.
I don't hate
I
it.
think those are the 4.
I don't hate it.
And
I
with
feel like-
that, we're gonna take a break in the podcast. John has to get out of here, but we appreciate
I
him.
do have good news. Talk to my friends, and I'm going to stay another hour. So
Nice!
Johnny boy with
From
the
left
surprise
field.
news.
It's all good.
We'll still take a break in the podcast,
Good,
and we're
'cause
gonna
that's
be
the pick.
back with some more NBA stuff. The Bucks' future now that Dame is gonna be out for the season. This week in the NBA, and then on to the NFL. So we'll see you in a few. Pros Picks is the only way that pick a side plays.
Talk.
And as of recently, they have been offering a lot of free squares. Cooper Flag, that cashed out. They only wanted 1 point. He had 30. Unfortunately, a lot of our other picks didn't do so well. Derek Queen, 2.5 assists. The Demon ain't do too well. Malawachi sold you. And you, Pettiford, we're still waiting.
Todd.
But
Trying to get a
it's the
W tonight.
picks are dead nonetheless. But listen, Prize Picks, they got a lot of other sports going on. MLB, NBA, the playoffs are coming. College basketball, we're in the Sweet 16 phase, but the Elite 8, the Final 4, the championship. If you want to play on Prize Picks, play with us and use code PAS, play $5 and get $50. It's the only way to play. It's the best way to play. It's Prize Picks. Dame was announced out for the season with blood clots. We covered it minorly, and we just talked about how it affects him. But how does this affect the Bucks long term? What happens with the Bucks? I was looking at their cap table, and the cap space for the next league year is going to be $154 million. Their cap allocations are at $162 million. They're over the cap. Kyle Kuzma is getting paid $22 million. Brooke Lopez's contract comes off the books. And while that could be a good thing, the Bucks now are not going to have a center. It's going to be hard to replace Brooke Lopez. I think they probably have to explore trading Kyle Kuzma. But then even then, there's a question mark around Dame's availability for next year. So what do the Bucks do? What's going to happen next?
I thought that Giannis Antetokounmpo would be a lifer. After this, I don't feel the same way anymore. I think that with this, unfortunately, I feel like we're going to watch the Milwaukee Bucks that we've known fall apart and have to start all over. Giannis Antetokounmpo is not going to stay for another rebuild. I don't think that that's what he wants. Obviously, he wants to compete. He knows that his prime is now. He's still one of the top 2, top 3 at worst, best players in the world. He has already gone through the ups and downs of being on a rebuilding small market team. He's going to want to go to a team that can go ahead and bring him a championship. I think that in doing so, that'll be the best way that we can see Milwaukee start their rebuild. But unfortunately, it will not be with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's unfortunate because we really were robbed of seeing a full playoff series of both Dame and Giannis at the same time. And the way that the two have been playing basketball this season together, I had some high hopes for them in a playoff series just for the two of them for the way that they were going to perform. Maybe not the entire landscape for the Milwaukee Bucks, but the way that the two have been playing together this season, they've been great. They've really started to figure it out. And then unfortunately, Dame, of course, has to get shelved for the rest of the season.
It's disappointing. If you told me when the Bucks acquired Damian Lillard in September of 2023 that him and Giannis would not play a playoff game together, it would have been a bummer then, and even now, when you reflect on the Bucks after their 2021 championship, they have really just been a story of a team which has been snake bitten at the worst time by injuries. 2022, you have a round 2 matchup versus the Celtics. The Celtics team went to the NBA Finals that year, and Giannis Antetokounmpo put together one of the most valiant performances without his co-star Chris Middleton, who missed the final 10 playoff games that year of the sprained MCL. And they took it to 7 games without Chris Middleton. They had a chance to win it even before that Game 7 and Game 6. The following year, 2023, Game 1, Giannis suffers a back injury, and they lose to the Heat, who go on to the finals. Last year, Giannis, with 3 games left in the regular season, gets hurt and does not play a single game in their round 1 defeat versus the Pacers, where Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton both put together great performances. And then, of course, this year, this development is so heartbreaking because you're expecting it to be the first time where you have Giannis. And in any series, you're going to have the best player in the Eastern Conference. So it's disappointing. Get well soon, Dame, most importantly, because it's a very scary thing. And it's unfortunate that when you're taking blood thinners, you're going to be out indefinitely for 3 to 6 months at least. And you do the math, late June would be the earliest time. So it's a brutal blow for a team that was putting all their chips into this duo. And it feels like we're talking about them last week. Maybe they just need a little bit of luck, and unfortunately, they're not going to have it.
This is tough. I mean, this is tough for all sports fans. I mean, this is something we wanted to see, man. We wanted to see the idea and Dame time together.
Knew
in the
you were
playoffs,
gonna make it.
man.
It is an idea now.
We wanted to see it.
Haven't seen it.
All jokes aside, though, it really is unfortunate because we're getting robbed of another good team in the playoffs, and I think that's the problem, especially in the East, where we're not getting 1 through 9 really thugging it out for a playoff spot. No. We are unfortunately getting robbed of some pretty good competition in the East, and I think right now you got to look at the situation like you said, Drew. I've been campaigning for Giannis to leave for a while now. I think he's not going to be there. I think at this point, Giannis is comfortable with what he's done in Milwaukee. You know, he's content with it. He's accomplished all he needed to do there. Won a championship for them, 2 MVPs,
Greatest buck of all time.
Defensive Player of the Year, greatest buck of all time. He's solidified. He's stamped in the organization. I don't think a Bucks fan would be upset that he, leaves because he it's unfortunate. But I think Giannis is looking at it. He's 30 years old or about to be 30 years old, in the middle of his prime, peak of his powers. You want to win. This is about winning. And I think he's going to get a lot of suitors this offseason. As for Dame, I think Dame also can still find another home. I think that's something that gets lost in this. I think Dame is still a really high-level player. I think he's still a top 20, 25 player in the NBA. I think he can still give you high-level production in the right situation. And he can still command some good capital. I think he can still command some good play. His contract's a little nuts, won't lie. But I think you can find a team. And Kyle Kuzma, good luck. Good luck trying to find somebody that'll take that.
Dame was playing like a top 25-ish player this season.
Dame was playing like a top 15 player without Giannis.
Wrong,
so it's like he's been that type of dude. But this roster's old. They lack the athleticism. They lack the defensive prowess in the front and on the perimeter. Offensively, guys, it's just something missing with the 2 stars. There's just something missing in the connectivity and the continuity. And this is not a team you trust to make an ECF, which I think that's their ultimate goal in the building. Not a team you definitely trust to make the finals. And unfortunately, Dame has to deal with the blood clots. And we've seen throughout, our NBA blood clots is at least 3 months, 3 to 5 months, you're out. He's definitely out for the season. If by some miracle of God he's not, that's dope. But it's unfortunate for the Bucks.
Is it a valid expectation to expect Giannis to still win a playoff series?
Who are they playing? Detroit, yes.
The Knicks, Pistons, or Pacers, one of the three.
If they play Detroit, yes.
Second best player in the world. He can.
They play Indiana.
Round 1, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's make or break, but I'm saying, is it a valid expectation
go to 6-7.
for
Now
say,
that
Giannis,
lineup-
win us a playoff series because we haven't seen you in the playoffs in years. Win us a playoff series.
for you.
You're healthy. You should be able to do it. I saw Nikola Jokic backpack Austin Rivers and Campazzo to a playoff series
Dame.
win.
The best
so
Dame.
Is it reasonable for me
Giannis
to
can
say,
do that.
Giannis,
Can you beat the best Tyrese Halliburton?
I'm not saying conference finals. I'm not saying NBA finals. Win me a playoff series in the first round.
Beat the best
Is
Halliburton,
that
Kenny?
a reasonable expectation?
Drew, I'm going to ask you because I feel like he's being disrespectful. Can Giannis beat the best version of Halliburton?
Can he
and the
beat
Pacers?
Halliburton and Siakam?
Can he beat Cade?
Can he beat
in them?
Cade?
Can he beat Cade in them?
He can beat Cade in them.
So he can't beat Halliburton and Siakam?
The Pacers are a very well-rounded team.
I don't disagree,
We'll have to
but
start talking about that legacy.
Giannis, I mean, maybe he averages like 40 and 20, and there's nothing
He
we
really can. Who's guarding him in that
no doubt.
Here's the thing:
And we
he's
can't
gonna ball.
critique it.
No, but that's what I'm gonna have issue with. He balls.
But what if he's not that great?
But what if he balls and he loses in 5 games?
Not his fault. I'll admit it's not his fault.
All right, that's all I care
but
about.
Should I
but are we
also
gonna-
expect him to win a playoff series for me?
Are we gonna give him grace though when he's balling and then some of them fourth quarters and them key moments he's
Context
gawking
always
it up?
matters.
Are we-
Context always matters.
Okay.
And
This
if in
is
the
his
fourth
best year for mid-range. He's added that
Talk.
component to his
Talk.
game.
'Cause I know you-
because we're trying to find a way to,
And he stopped
to
taking threes.
belittle
No,
Giannis.
The
because
things
you
on
love,
offense you criticize him for
and it's
are
what you
gone.
love to do, and I think it's a bit odd. You love to bring up the regular stats when he played Miami, but you hate or you don't talk about how he actually did in the fourth quarters when the game got tight. You love to talk about 35 and 20. 35 and 20.
It was 40 and 20.
And when you look at it just from a box score perspective, it looks magnificent. But then when you remember the game and you remember the fourth quarters and you remember him throwing turnovers, you remember him
The free throw line dog shit.
going to being timid at the free throw
was.
line, even not want to be there. And you're like,
He had
nuts.
24 attempts.
It's not what you want to see from your top guys. All I'm saying.
I'm not going to say it was his best moment in the fourth quarters in that Miami Heat series.
not
Nevertheless,
ideal.
he tried everything that he could. He
did.
exhausted all of his energy
did.
while also being injured to try and overcome. And unfortunately, they fell short. Now, it's fair. I'm not going to say it's not. It's Giannis. You give one of the best players in the world, the top 3, top 2, in some people's eyes, the best player in the world. Not me, but in some people's, the best player in the world's eyes. You should go in there in the first round. You should not lose. So it's fair to have that expectation, but within reason. If in the first round Milwaukee starts to slip and now they have to face Boston, they have to face the Cavaliers, which I don't see that happening, of course.
If Giannis is healthy and they slip, that's a critique on him. They should stay within the top 6 at the very least.
I think the Bucks are not that talented.
Their second best player is a 36-year-old Brook Lopez.
Hey, respect the Bobby Porter. Oh, he's suspended. Is he back
Yes.
yet?
I don't think so.
Because
He's
I'm
nice.
looking at if they lose in the first round, these playoffs,
Nope.
Giannis would have only won one playoff series since 2021.
Oh, here we go. This where it gets nasty.
2022.
They haven't been healthy.
2022.
at
He won
any point
against
since
the
then.
Bulls.
Yeah, you beat the Bulls in the first round.
We do
No, I know.
not care.
That's the one playoff series.
But
he
I'm
won.
saying 2022. It was
Yeah.
22, not 21.
No, but I'm saying he would have won just one playoff series since
Oh,
2021.
since
Yeah,
2021.
because if he
Understood.
loses, if he wins the playoff series, he'll win 2.
Gotcha.
But if he
with
loses,
you.
it's only one playoff series since 2021.
John,
but you're right. I'm
can't
talking about
forget.
after
I
the
gotcha. I'm with
finals.
you.
Up 3-2. Up 3-2 against Boston. Had game 6 in his
Didn't
home.
have Chris Middleton. Second best
Hold
player.
on,
was still
hold
up
on.
3-2.
I'm not appreciating this.
still up 3-2.
What did he
This
do?
is some bullshit.
Still
What
up
did he
3-2.
do?
This is
I
some
didn't,
bullshit.
What did he do?
Did I?
No, you're talking
did I-
trash. What did he
Joel,
do in that game 6, Rick?
Joel, let me ask you.
Don't piss me
Joel,
off.
Let me ask you a question because obviously these guys.
He's not talking to me
They're getting
for a reason,
emotional.
John.
They're getting emotional. The
Do I
facts
look
are not-
emotional to you?
They're getting emotional. Did I not just bring up the series?
flash
Did I
me.
say he played bad?
No, he didn't.
What
just
does that
brought it
have
up,
to do
right?
with him that they
I
lost?
just brought it up, right?
Yeah, he was up 3-2.
Yeah, that's all
does
I said.
What does that matter?
I'm just saying.
He had 40.
No, listen. Listen. I'm saying he was up 3-2 against that Boston team. I think it's fair that we can ask for him to win a first round series.
Okay.
Because he was up
Yes,
3-2. He's
okay,
like
yes,
he's been
he's
up.
capable.
Bulls
That's-
there's a
that's-
chance in the
All right,
first
I thought
round.
you were talking trash about him losing that series because you were about to piss me the fuck off.
No. What I was saying is we've seen him have.
I know you
be
take your
up.
slights at Giannis. That's the only reason why I'm in
No,
defense
we've
mode.
seen him be up 3-2.
Look, he's smiling. I
No, I'm
know
not
for a fact you're
smiling.
You can't even look me in the
Because you're
eyes.
tweaking, bro. I'm saying we've
Yeah,
seen
bro.
him up 3-2 against Boston. It was a
Drew
good team.
Holiday shot 30% from through that series. Brooke Lopez is coming
What
off
does that
back
have to do with
surgery.
what I'm saying?
Brooke Lopez
No,
is
no.
coming
All
off
right,
back surgery.
John,
Missed
let's give him
damn near
the
the entire
John. Let's
year.
give him
He
the
didn't have
benefit
second
of
best
the doubt
player.
that he's not talking about him blowing the series. Let's not.
No, what
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying is,
I understand what he's
because I
saying
know
now.
you guys getting emotional about Giannis.
If you say that shit one more time,
and I know you
gonna
guys.
fucking lose it.
I know
Giannis,
you
or look
guys.
objective?
Look, objective. Let's talk objective facts. He was up 3-2. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I hate
Let's
you.
talk a fact
He
too.
was up
It's a
3-2.
fucking miracle he got that team in 7 games.
He was up 3-2. That's no. When you are that good, it's not a miracle. It's called you're that good. That's a
Exactly.
fact.
Yeah, fair
That's a fact.
He's
See,
that
don't
good.
slight Giannis. Now you're doing it. I'm not slighting Giannis. Keeping it real. He's that good. There's a fact.
I
he
said
was up
that
3-2.
team. That's a
So
point.
Because
John,
he's
I'm
that
here.
good, I think he should win a
I
playoff
agree.
series.
And
Because
I
he's
agree.
that good.
I agree.
He should, in
I
theory,
agree.
Drew
be able to
is
at
still like
least. And I'm not look, Drew.
1949.
John Drew. I'm not asking him to win the damn thing. What I'm asking,
one series.
one,
He had no support.
at least go to 6-7. That's all I'm asking.
All right.
If you give me
At
7
least
games,
go to seven.
you
Gotta
give
go to
me
7.
7. Although
that's-
7 is
can't go-
tricky,
can't
I'm
go
gonna tell you
6.
why 7 is tricky and 7 is a death sentence because there are people like Joel who have been waiting for a game 7 where in a game 7 you take the best player on the floor by any means, always. And the best player on the floor is probably going to be Giannis. If he loses that game 7,
What if it's
that
Halliburton?
that is a team.
What if
You know
it's
the,
Brunson?
you know
And
the
that's a
last
tough-
game.
that's
No,
what I'm saying,
you know
no,
the
make
last
it-
game 7 Giannis was in. Do you know?
Was it Boston?
No, no, take it. Oh shit!
It was Boston. And Grant Williams played well.
Damn it! I
What's
was
the one
thinking
before?
2021
Now-
against the Nets.
This Bucks,
Damn it! I hate that for him.
Nope, it
this
was-
Bucks lineup. I thought we should go over it when we're talking about Giannis when the
sucks.
playoff series. Kevin Porter Jr. or Ryan Rollins at point guard.
hilarious.
Torian Prince at the 2, who they
He's
got on
shooting
a
really
1-year
well.
deal.
Not terrible.
Yep.
Could
Kyle
be worse.
Kuzma at
That's
the 3,
real-
who was given away for
Torian
free.
Prince is better than Kyle Kuzma.
Did you see the
Yes.
team
Battle
LeBron carried to the
mid on mid.
2007 finals?
What's
What
up?
did he just say?
Did you see
LeBron.
Did you see the team LeBron carried to the 2007 finals?
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a finals, but
Is
I'm asking for a playoff series win.
And
That
I
Eastern
said,
Conference versus this
John,
Eastern Conference.
John,
Do you
John.
remember the Kobe team that was up 3-1 in the Suns
And-
that he dragged to the playoffs? All we are asking for.
I'm
All
saying,
we are asking for.
and
is
I'm
they win that series?
agreeing.
well, they choked because what Kobe did. He wanted to choke. Remember that.
Give
Never
me a
forget.
semblance of
Wanna
faith
go to
that
Chicago.
you can actually win the series. If the Bucks get smoked out in 5,
4.
oof.
Giannis will never get swept.
Ryan Rollins or Kevin
Whoa,
Porter
he
Jr.
didn't win against Miami.
They got a
won.
game.
He
They
didn't
won.
get a game.
He played in the first game.
He did not get a game.
He was in the
game they won was not game 1. It
I
was
know.
game 2.
I know. He
It's
did.
okay. He got
but he
swept.
played in the series.
If he plays in game 2, they win. So I'm not worried.
They
about
won
that.
already.
Kevin Porter Jr. or Ryan Rollins, Torian Prince, Kyle Kuzma,
It's
and
how
Brook Lopez
Washington's
at
doing?
37.
John, I'm going to say this
We know the Ross is
because
terrible.
I don't fear no man. Giannis Antetokounmpo will win a playoff series.
There we go.
I'm going to stamp that.
Don't forget Gary Trent and AJ Green.
No.
Hey, Gary Trent.
John, we don't have to talk about it.
AJ Green could shoot.
It goes unspoken.
That's where it ends.
John, we
40% from 3, and that's all you got.
all are aware of the Bucks situation.
So even if they play the Knicks, you guarantee it. You just said that. No. You just said that.
I mean, look at their interior defense.
You
I
said
mean, he's
it. I'm
going
not-
up against Cat.
He should kill Cat.
He's going to ball. I'm
Cat
just going to
might
say
foul out
this.
of
What's
Very
ball?
lame.
Like, what's the efficiency?
He's going to average 35 points, 12,
35,
13
14,
rebounds.
What's the
6.5.
efficiency?
He's going to
57% from the field,
Minimum.
and he's not going to take a 3. He's just
minimum.
Only two
Minimum
is
from the
35
field,
games.
Like,
55.
Give me an EFG number. We're big on
No,
that.
how
thing.
about
don't give a shit.
let's go true shooting. I'll say true
You
shooting.
sure you
62.
want that from him?
Yes,
The free throws add on, Yeah,
it's
you
true.
know what I'm saying? I thought
EFG, good looks. 57.
Bet.
Right now, the Bucks are the 6th seed. They would play the Knicks.
I told you they're,
They're
slipping.
only-
they're
they're only-
bad.
they're
You said
half.
guaranteed.
They're half a
don't wanna
game
see
back
that.
from the Pistons, but there's no way they slip to 7. The Hawks are like 6 games behind them.
There's no way.
So the Pistons right now, they're 18 games behind the first seed. The Bucks are 18 and a half. So
What's a
it's a
half
half game lead. If they get the 5th seed and they play the Pacers, it is reasonable for me to think that he can beat the Pacers.
Why? We agreed the Pacers are third best
They are
team
awesome.
in the
But
East.
Giannis is so far. If Giannis dominates that series, can he not dominate that series?
No, he will.
He will.
He will.
He will. Okay.
What if
Against
he
the best
doesn't?
player in the world.
There's no world that doesn't happen.
Okay.
It's Giannis.
Talk.
Okay, it's Giannis. He will go out there and he
Playoff
will
rising.
dominate.
This really is
He
Jokic.
is.
This is Jokic
He
in
is.
2022.
Yeah.
Jokic 2022.
This is Giannis right now is Jokic.
Yes.
But Jokic in
yeah,
2022
if
had
only
maybe a little more
Giannis
help.
had, no, if Giannis had the luxury of playing the fucking Portland
AJ
Trail
No, he
AJ
didn't play in
had
2022. We
a
caught
little
you.
more-
He played Steph. Caught you. Lying.
Okay,
Lying.
2021.
I don't know what just
That's the
happened.
playoff series that
I
he
missed
won.
that.
He didn't win a playoff series in 22.
He brought up 22.
No, he didn't. In
He didn't win a
Nuggets.
playoff series in
But
22.
he played
he
the
said
He won a
championship.
playoff
In
series in 21.
Yeah, Jokic won.
What made it 21?
21 and Dame is better than Hallie.
Don't fucking play me with that fucking Portland Trailblazers team.
They better than them.
They
No,
scored
they're
162
not.
points
Yes,
last
they
night.
are.
No, they were not.
They were the
I don't know
third
what
seed.
you're on about.
I
The
don't
Nuggets-
give a flying
the
Dame,
fuck.
The
Dame,
Nuggets
that
were
was
the
the best
sixth seed.
Dame we've ever
100%,
seen.
and Dame balled.
And he beat Dame.
I understand
So
that.
is it reasonable for us to say Giannis go beat him?
It's bigger than just him, though.
It was bigger than just Dame.
Who's the second best player on the fucking Portland
CJ
Trailblazers?
McCollum.
And he wasn't that good.
Oh.
Was CJ even on that team in 21, or
Yeah,
was
he
he
was
on
20
the?
he was 20 per game
Next
scorer.
year. he was
No,
great.
no. Next year it was the following that he was on the Pelicans. Are we sure?
Yes, yes.
Positive, 'cause
All right.
he
Dame
had a
averaged
collapsed lung the
34.
He was a
next
god.
year.
You're questioning
Dame
me?
averaged
Calm
34 and 10. This
No
is their
question.
team. This is their team. It wasn't that bad.
All right.
It was good.
Dame, CJ, Norman Powell,
was cool.
Yusuf Nurkic,
They
averaged
just- no
13 and 10.
defense.
Carmelo, Robert
Empty
Covington,
shit
and
off the bench.
Off the bench.
Anthony Simons off the
It was
bench.
just no
This
defense.
is
It
so.
was
This
just-
is
it's
so
alright.
underwhelming.
You want me to hit? You want me to name you the Nuggets
is underwhelming.
roster?
I know it was dog
Jokic,
shit.
MPJ,
Yes.
Monte Morris, Aaron Gordon, Austin
nuts.
Rivers, Campazzo.
All right. They got some
Hey, no,
constants
Aaron
here.
Gordon
I
that
know,
year,
he wasn't
first
that
year.
good.
No,
He
I
wasn't that
remember
good.
what you told me.
That's
No,
true.
Monte Morris averaged 15 in this series.
Yeah,
Shout out
nuts.
to him.
No, that's the problem.
What do you mean he's a playoff riser?
No,
Jokic
Portland's
merchant.
defense was just so
It was
bad.
dog shit. Exactly.
have-
And it's Jokic who just won MVP.
Yeah. Giannis MVP, you tell us.
He's
Two
still
times.
one of the best in the world.
Talk. He should be there.
I have ultimate
Indiana
respect.
is a good
team.
team.
I
I have ultimate respect
They're a better team.
for Indiana. And I think they are a better team all around than the Bucks, of course.
Comfortably.
That year, Jokic carried the Nuggets to the 3rd seed, if I'm not mistaken.
That was 6.
And the Blazers were the 6th seed.
No, Blazers were 3rd.
I'm trying to understand it as much as possible because
What are you talking about?
Blazers were 3rd.
no, Nuggets were 3rd seed.
Oh, so
I'm looking at
Blazers
it right
were
now.
6th.
Blazers were
You
6th.
fucking lied.
I remember
No, whoa.
You fucking lied.
I don't know.
You said the Blazers were the 3rd seed. You
I
fucking
think
lied.
he's thinking
they were the
2019.
6th seed. They were
I think he's
6th
thinking
seed.
2019.
They were 6th seed.
I
Yeah,
guess.
they were the 6th seed. So looking at that series and looking at that
he
season,
was traded the next season.
was
That's
traded
on me.
next
I
season.
remember in that playoff series and that season before it started, I said I think the Blazers are going to upset Denver because Denver wasn't that good that
And
year.
I stood 10, and I was the only one on the show to say I'm riding with the Nuggets and I'm riding with the MVP.
Talk.
What am I doing here again in 2025?
So you're
I don't know.
riding with Giannis and you're riding with the former MVP.
I'm
if
not
they play
gonna
the
say
Pacers.
all
So you're
that.
not keeping the same
What
energy.
I am keeping the same energy that he's going to go out there and ball.
You're not riding with the
The
MVP
only
though.
issue is he doesn't even have an MPJ.
So
Are
you're
you
telling me
fucking
to
kidding me?
Who's
Aaron
his
Gordon.
MPJ? Exactly. He
It's
doesn't
Brook
even have an
Lopez.
Aaron
It's Brook
Gordon.
Lopez, but
Aaron
It's
Gordon
36.
in
Yeah.
2021?
He's
Yeah, he was there.
36.
I'm saying he was there, but he ain't far off from Brook
Kyle
Lopez now.
Kuzma, Loki this year is just as good as that year Aaron Gordon.
Kyle Kuzma's been
Jesus Christ. He's
passed
lying.
around like
Is that
a
cap?
used
Yes.
You might have tapped.
Kyle
Kyle Kuzma's actually
is
like
one of
he's
the
one of the
biggest
bottom 5
negatives.
worst basketball
Kyle
players.
Kuzma's been around the whole league. Everyone getting a fucking shot at Kyle Kuzma. My
Oh my
fault,
God,
my
he's
fault.
cooking.
I'm sorry.
No,
That was
keep
rude.
going,
That was rude.
John.
That was rude.
Kyle
Keep going.
Kuzma
Curse,
is
I don't want to
easily,
curse.
he's like a top 600
They've been
player.
going around
That
the
year
entire
on
league.
Denver,
You
Aaron
want
Gordon
Kyle
averaged
Kuzma?
10
Hell no.
points.
Next goal.
He
Ew.
averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds.
What his
What are you
defense?
talking about?
Aaron Gordon that year.
Aaron
It
Gordon
was
was
the
solid for
next
them.
year he averaged 15,
Here's the
but
thing.
that year he averaged 10.
You're looking at numbers. Aaron Gordon wasn't a negative. Kyle Kuzma's a legit negative. He's a negative. Like for every team he played on except the Lakers. Negative. He's not good.
When he
He's
first got to
awful.
Washington, he was
He
good.
did a layup, and he did a turnaround spin layup, and everybody just looked at him like confused, like he's just like bad.
Can I just say, and
He
this
just
is
don't got no more.
the last thing I
You
want
have
to
it?
say on this.
What if Kyle Kuzma averages 20?
He was the third best player in the championship team.
They're winning this fucking finals. Fuck. If Kyle Kuzma averages 20, they're winning the finals.
He averages 20,
They're winning the
they might
finals. Like what? If Kyle Kuzma's giving you 20,
Well,
they're winning the finals.
Not Antoine Walker.
Brother,
20,
no.
efficient 20.
I don't even think he gives you an inefficient 20 in the playoffs. That's how bad he is. He's so bad.
Well, you got 20 shots, you get 20 points.
20, he's not getting 20 points with 20 shots.
If
he
they,
needs 40.
the
shots.
Bucks are not allowing.
Yeah, it's-
They're not allowing
NBA
Kuzma to
player
take
40
20 attempts.
40 shots.
Brother, he's getting benched before he gets to 40 shots.
I want to say this: the Pacers are a really good team. They are a sleeping giant.
So they can only
Definition
beat
of
the
very good?
Pistons.
Pistons. I
They
agree.
can only beat the Pistons.
You're saying the Bucks.
The Bucks.
I agree. We're here. We're understanding
That's
together.
disrespectful to the Pistons, I feel like.
That's disrespectful to Giannis. He's the best player in the world.
I don't
No,
think
but
so,
the
how
thing
young
is,
they are.
he's going up against teams. It's just him.
Oh, interesting.
What?
I'm just
What's in? No, explain how it's
just
interesting.
assessing the situation.
Explain how it's interesting.
I'm just assessing.
There's
the
going to be
situation.
no home court advantage that the Nuggets have. There's going to be no second best player. There's going to be, I guess we have the third best player because Brook Lopez, he's 36.
Dude is really scared of Halliburton and Siakam.
No, I'm scared of the
Giannis as a
Knicks
Giannis
right
guy.
now.
Striking
I'm
fear.
scared
They
of
go
the
to
Knicks
conference
right now.
finals.
The Knicks are the third seed.
There you
Who?
go. Pacers.
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything on that run. I'm just going to.
I mean,
And
They
they
gave
got
the
better.
Celtics
John,
the
John,
toughest
John.
match.
To emphasize
4
that
games.
point, they got better from last year.
Mavericks went to 5 with Luka Doncic. So
Who?
the Mavericks went to 5 with Luka Doncic. So
That's a Mavericks problem.
Yeah, it's also Highland Pacers matchup, but the best team in the NBA better. So, anyways,
Sure, you want to highlight a fluke run? Go ahead, John. Knock yourself out.
Am I angry at you guys?
guys talking about fluke run. They're better this year. Anyways,
He's talking.
Well, last year it was a fluke run, was it
Dame
not?
got them to 6 last year against the Pacers.
might have been.
Dame alone. He got Middleton. played
Alone
well.
by himself.
He averaged
Did Giannis
31.
play?
Giannis did not play.
Oh.
And Brook Lopez averaged 18
Thanks, John.
in that series.
You heard
He
that,
played
John?
well.
You didn't
Here's the
hear it?
thing. Giannis
Did you hear that?
can. So if Giannis brings them to 6 and they lose, you're cool.
Dame just got him to 6. Giannis can't win.
Can't win.
what are we doing? Obviously, they got
better.
They got
They're
better.
better.
Yes, they got better.
And Halliburton is
Chris
better
Middleton went crazy.
this year
they
than
also
last.
they got internally better.
Who's better? Halliburton 23, Halliburton 24.
No, this Hallie now.
Okay, Siakam 23, Siakam 24.
Honestly, he's like the same.
No, it's not.
He's like
He's
the same.
slightly better. He's slightly better.
Nothing
We're
crazy.
picking
Nothing.
the first
No
one here,
crazy. No crazy.
Healthy
Benedict Mathurin,
Got better.
Defense
Miles
better.
Turner,
Same guy.
the bench.
He's always the same guy.
Same guy.
He's always
Same
the same guy.
He is. I'm not gonna say
Been
you're
the same
wrong.
guy for like a decade.
You're
Same
not
guy.
wrong.
They
But
don't have
Benedict
Isaiah
Mathurin.
Jackson.
No Isaiah
Didn't
Jackson
get hurt,
stings.
unfortunately.
No Isaiah Jackson stings.
Jared
Still
Harden's
got Obi
playing better,
topping
though.
off the bench. Nemhard's offense is definitely not what you anticipated, but his defense is to the moon.
Elite
Oh yeah, he's not gonna have to guard anybody in this series.
He's not.
Yeah, so he's straight.
If Dame got them to 6, give me 7. Give me 7.
All right.
Give me 7.
I'm guaranteeing you.
Give me 7.
I'm guaranteeing
I'm gonna tell you
a
this.
Giannis masterclass in the series. I'm guaranteeing multiple wins. I can see him winning.
If Giannis don't beat the Pistons, you're done, buddy.
I agree, but he's going to do
They're
it.
not going to play them. Probably no.
Shit.
I'm hoping he plays the Pacers. That's a rivalry
You're done.
right there.
Yeah.
And
Can you pick a fucking side?
I'm picking
Haven't
my
been
side.
today.
What side? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Are you pro Giannis or not?
I'm middle of the pack.
And you're not picking a side. That's the most
that's
obvious
anti-Giannis.
talk.
I don't have a pro. I'm cool.
I know
Like,
John is anti-Giannis. He talked about it last time he was in the playoffs that he held them back.
Whoa.
Is this true?
I didn't say. Not
We
say that.
got
why
him,
would
yeah.
He did not got.
Why would you allow yourself
I'm
to be
not lying.
incriminated?
John, tell
I-
the truth.
I said it was a disaster and a brutal collapse against the Heat, in which Giannis was hurt for 3 of those games, 2 of those games.
Thank you.
No,
All right,
no, no,
context.
no, no.
It
No, no, no,
allows
no,
And
no.
context.
Giannis did
Context.
play poorly, but I
In the
will
fourth.
use context. He played very poorly in the fourth quarter, but I do think I kind of overlooked the fact he was coming off a back
Thank you,
injury
John.
just a little bit with his team's back
Self-awareness.
against
So
the
wait.
wall.
So hold on. Question. Just a question. I'm not
gonna
attacking.
see.
Hold it
I
up.
would
Hold
love
up.
for you guys to just
I don't,
answer
wanna,
my question.
I don't even want to
John-
see a smirk
John-
on your
John-
face.
Bucks.
I would also like you to answer this question. So you guys praise him for the 40 and 20. That matters. Injured 40 and 20. But when it's now the injured I play like shit moments,
It's
he's
the
injured.
fourth quarter.
I'm actually
Let me ask you.
I'm
Let me
just
ask you.
asking.
No, and let me
Team
ask
was
you a
down.
question.
So
Can I ask you a question?
Instead of
Oh, so I can't ask you a question. You can ask me a question.
Instead of answering my question with the question like female,
I said he was
Answer
hurt.
my
Yes.
question.
That was a shot.
That was a shot.
Answer
Shout out
my
to the,
question.
to the 1% of women that watch us. Anyways, let me ask you a
what's
question.
up, bro?
In the fourth quarter of their 2021 run,
That was against who?
just in the playoffs,
Okay.
who was the closer?
Chris Middleton.
I don't
Okay.
think there's nothing
Where the
there.
fuck was Chris Middleton in 2023?
Sometimes when the
Did
court,
they have
sometimes no.
anything of a resemblance of Chris Middleton in 2023?
2024, there's life.
So wait.
He went
So you're
crazy.
telling me you're bet-
I
Yeah, no. Let me answer your question. My fault. Let me
Thank
not
you.
be a contradiction and let me answer
you.
your question.
Thank you.
Nothing there.
On and off. It wasn't consistent.
Thank you.
It wasn't consistent.
All I'm just gonna say is he had someone they could rely on in 21
To be the best
while
player.
he was dogging.
Yes.
He was going stupid
Yep.
in Game 6, 50 in a closeout.
Game 5.
Game 6, 50 in a closeout.
They didn't go
Giannis
six.
Antetokounmpo.
They
And
didn't go
against
six.
the Suns.
20
We're here,
Sorry,
2021.
Yes.
4 straight wins.
In 2023, in the NBA Finals. Stop that.
Against Chris
Stop
Paul,
that.
top 5 point guard
Stop
of all
that.
time.
Stop that.
I'm giving him
No, you're not.
acknowledgement.
Chris
It's
Paul's
something
against first
about you
Why
right
are
now.
you yelling
Giannis
at
all
me
take
if I'm
that.
giving him a
It didn't
clap?
seem. No, it seems. It
No.
seems
It is-
backhanded. It
No.
doesn't seem
The Suns
sincere.
were an incredible team. I agree
You
with
don't
you.
mean that.
He's
You don't
bullshitting.
mean
No,
that.
I'm
And you know what, Riv? You're
You don't
pissing
mean
me the
that.
fuck off.
You don't
and I'm
mean
done
that
with
shit.
60
this.
wins, 55 wins. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges. Who was guarding Giannis in that series? It was a great
DeAndre
defense.
Ayton.
Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton. That's incredible. I'm giving him acknowledgement. That's awesome.
He's 30% serious.
Yeah, I'm
70%
that's
fucking
that's
around.
dope, man. 50 in the closeout against the Suns.
In the finals. You know what? You're
the
really
finals.
disgusting. You're really disgusting.
Okay.
Because let it be
His
Paul
reality
George.
says it out
Where the
loud
fuck
more
is
and
Paul
more
George's finals
Okay,
appearance?
okay, you guys ready? Okay,
That's it.
Mr. John
have nothing for
Tortorelli,
that.
April 29th,
John,
2023.
no, John.
If Kawhi Durant just choked the way Giannis did, the NBA would be crucifying him. I just can't believe how people are defending him so much.
He did lose to an 18.
You fucking traitor.
No, I'm not.
Okay, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this.
John.
April 28th, 2023.
Yeah.
Giannis deserves the most blame for the Bucks' loss. They were 1-1 without him. Their offense went AWOL when ran through him in 4
did.
and 5. Giannis was 1 for 13 in the fourth in both those two games. Number 1, Tyler Hero played
This
19
ain't
minutes
facts.
all series. Number 2, Bam played through a
Damn, John.
hamstring injury.
I did.
I don't get how
tweeted all this?
this is what John
Apparently.
said.
I don't remember
I
what
don't
it is.
get how
I must have
people
blacked out or
I
something,
don't get how
honestly.
people want to skip past how bad he looked on both ends. Giannis was actually 2 for 13 on the field. And then somebody said, I see what you're getting at, but the biggest thing is the Bucks shouldn't have needed Giannis this series. And then John responded, the best player on the floor sets the tone for his teammates. They follow his lead offensively. I blame Bud for not having him help and recover defensively on Jimmy.
Got him! Got him!
There was a lot of different things.
You just
going
got
on.
exposed. Oh my God.
John, I'm embarrassed that I'm in the heat of battle with you by my side, and this
You
is
stabbed him in the back.
this is.
If you guys ever
concrete-
watched Game of Thrones, you pulled a Theon Greyjoy,
kind of a little bit.
and you completely
Theon
you
Greyjoy.
completely stabbed Rob in the back, man. I'm Rob Stark, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
One thing that
Tyrion.
Joel Dales talks about a lot
Oh my God.
He was waiting for this moment.
is a man's ability to grow. Now, Joel took 7
Nuts.
minutes there to surf that, and everything that he said, I blacked out, but it was mostly facts. It
John,
was,
and now you're
it was
gonna
deep.
stand by it.
No, but as Joel Dales would say, a man can grow. It is true that he went
make it
2 of
grow.
13 in the fourth quarter in those 2 games. And defensively, I reflected. Bud would not have him switch on the Jimmy. He wouldn't have him. He was basically that entire series a non-factor on defense. And in that moment in time, I was a lot more critical of a team star player. But in the last 2.5 years, I've grown a lot. I've matured a fair bit. And looking back and reflecting the time since, I think I've grown personally as well. And in that time, I've realized, while I tweeted that, I was wrong, but I was still acknowledging fair statistics. These happened, in fact. But looking back now, I think I was wrong to say he was the sole reason why they lost. There's a variety of things.
No, you didn't say his soul. You said he
me.
deserves the biggest blame.
I think I put a lot of criticism on the star and the best player. And I think looking back now, I would not do that today.
Of course.
But I've grown a lot. I was 18, 19 years
Now
old.
you're 21, 22, 25.
So I think, look,
I'm
What?
John.
What?
I'm genuinely. I'm hurt.
Yeah, man.
happened, and-
Theon Greyjoy, man.
it happened and a man can grow.
This guy's name is Reek now.
You stabbed him in the back, man.
Listen,
He was in the thick of war with you.
I was deciding facts in film.
Oh, I'm with you. We also.
He was pulling up a tweet. It was a 2
It sounds like you're more of a
He watched the film. That's what I'm saying.
He watched the
but-
film.
It wasn't a hot take. It was
Looking
analysis
back now, I
based.
think I was wrong to say he was the main reason why.
You wasn't wrong. You was just a little hard. You was a little hard.
I was very critical. And I
You should
wouldn't
have
be
been.
that.
It was rough.
I wouldn't, yeah.
The film was rough. He's
The
still
only
good.
thing that's winning
He
me
was hurt.
back is
I
him
didn't-
saying that he acknowledges what he said was wrong.
The
I agree.
issue, he was hurt. He was coming back off injury. I
Correct.
didn't acknowledge that.
And I appreciate that, John. That takes real growth, real self-awareness to realize when you're wrong.
A man can't grow. that new?
Does it hurt that is still public information? Yes, John, that hurts.
Don't delete that, John.
I don't delete nothing. I still
Don't delete that, John. I screenshotted it anyway, just in case. I
I've got
screenshotted
some
it.
receipts of yours too. So be careful, dog.
Hey, maybe you might have the receipts, but the way that you politicked around your receipt, I might do the same thing. I might learn something from you.
Yeah, you was politicking.
You learned something from him because he's done that plethora of times on this fucking show.
But in my defense,
Here we go.
everything that he tweeted was stats, data, and film. It wasn't. It was.
You
a
saw exactly
subjective-
what we saw.
It was a subjective. But
Don't
here's
piss
the
me
thing.
off. So
It
he's the
was-
idea.
It was.
No. So he's the idea.
agree with that.
John,
So he's the
what
idea.
you said was
Joel, 1
objective.
second. I apologize.
No.
So he's the idea.
Nope.
So what the hell is he then?
It was objective, but it was biased.
So what the hell is he
He's the
then?
third best player in the world. To me.
He's better than Shaq.
Who?
Shay's having a better season.
Nah, I'll put Shea over him.
Nah, Shay's better.
But it's a conversation. Like, if you put Giannis over, I don't care. He's top 3. Like 3, top 4.
So now he's dropping to 4 now.
I mean, people still love Luka.
John, it's just I remember when you tweeted that, I read it and I agreed with you. And I feel like you
agreed with you too,
had
John.
a lot of objectivity
You're
in
pissing
it.
me off.
And he
lot of bias in it, too.
was bad. And listen, no,
And the issue was that-
it wasn't biased. You want to know
Don't
why?
try to flip now.
Because
I was biased in overlooking the fact he was coming off a bad.
no, you all right, but yes, you also want to know something though. They had the same amount of possessions with Giannis on the court versus off. Their offensive rating with him off was 121. With him on was 108. They were 13 points worse offensively in that series with Giannis. So what you were looking at was objectively a fact. They were worse offensively with Giannis on the court.
I'm giving him a pass.
He was hurt.
Yeah,
In that series,
gets
I'm
a
not
pass for
saying
me.
overall, the Bucks are worse with Giannis. No, obviously not. In that series specifically, the results,
He was hurt.
they were worse on offense.
So Luka can be hurt. Jamal Murray can be hurt. Tyrese Halliburton can be hurt.
Luka was hurt and
But
led it to the
God
finals.
fucking bid. Giannis Antetokounmpo is
Talk to him.
hurt.
Talk to
No,
him.
they were worse with him on
Talk
the
to
court.
him. Yo, he not being consistent. Talk to him.
Talk to me.
I never seen
Because he was
seen
running about
ever.
Dallas, Luka.
I've never seen ever any of these top end stars, superstars, Jokic, SGA doesn't have a big sample size. Jokic, Tatum, Luka, their offenses ever in any sample in the playoffs be better with them off the court.
Giannis has gotten better since then.
He is.
This is a fun, cute conversation.
No,
Stop
you
taking-
are
he cut out
really
threes, he's
on
gotten way
notice.
better
Yo,
with mid-range.
what-
You're on notice.
What? I didn't
We're
say
done.
anything.
We're done.
Wait,
Done.
Wait, done.
Done.
Yeah, did I say that?
Johnny boy.
I don't ever want to hear
If
another
anything,
peep.
you two are done.
How am I done?
No, because he
It does
Oh,
seem
between
like
the two
I'm
of us.
purgatory. So
somebody did to you
He apologized, and that goes a long way with me.
after lying to you.
try my best.
You did lie to me.
If you really look
You
back
lied
at
to me bad.
Drew, if you look back at it, he lied to you, jumped in the war with you, knowing he lied to you, and then Joel had to correct him like, yo, no, bro, you're on the wrong side of the war. You're actually with us.
But what if the informant has the other guy's back?
You're a snake.
It's just not getting better.
You just admitted you're a snake. What are you talking
Now, but he turned double agent for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not for you.
After he
bias
stabbed you in the
takes.
back and then realized he fucked up, so now he had to run back to you like, no, bro, I'm with you. I just made some errors.
He was
back
actually
in
a
my
double
day.
agent for you
Yeah,
guys.
it's listen, John, you were here with us. That's all that matters to me.
This week in the NBA, LeBron said that he maximized the Cavaliers' potential in 2007, and you ask yourself how they even make the finals. And I thought this was an interesting
said a
thing.
lot on the past week,
I'm kind of like, I'm LeBron neutral. I'm not like a huge fanboy. I don't hate on LeBron, at least anymore. When he was with the Heat, I did, but not no more. Like since Lakers and Cavaliers second stint, I don't hate on LeBron. And I was just doing some research on that time, and LeBron, of course, did carry a team to the finals. They were a bad roster. Nobody's overlooking that. But the first round series that they played, the 41-41 Wizards,
That was Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas did not
play.
play in that series. Caron Butler did not play in that series. The second round, the 41-41 Nets, their starting center, Chris, that you averaged 16 points per game, did not play in that center. The ECF versus the Pistons, one of the most memorable moments, 25 straight points. No Ben Wallace in that series and no Larry Brown in that series. I'm not saying or trying to minimize what he did, but I feel like when we talk about the finals run that he had that year, people act like it was a Herculean effort against healthy teams when it was not.
Well, if it
think
wasn't
it's
going to be
him.
them, it's going to be Detroit.
I was
So,
going to say, it's a 21-year-old LeBron James going to the NBA Finals. Yes, there was some help along the way, but it was a 21-year-old, God bless you, John,
Bless you.
who's going up against the Detroit Pistons and just gave an all-time playoff moment at 21 years old.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why it gets acknowledgement, because he was so young and already making such an imprint on the league. That's why it gets acknowledged, but then he got smoked in the finals. Well, they lost in 4. It was a close series, but
He played terrible.
he didn't play well. He
4
shot
quarters.
38% from the field, something like that.
always
Yeah,
in fourth
and
quarter.
this is the thing. LeBron had an all-time playoff moment. He had 48 points in Game 6. In Game 5 versus the Pistons.
Always?
In Game 6,
Piss me off, man.
in Game 6 versus the Pistons, when the Cavaliers closed
Daniel Gibson.
the Pistons out, Boobie Gibson had
Yes,
31.
sir.
LeBron was 3 for 11 in 46 minutes played with 20 points.
Damn.
And 14 rebounds, 8 assists. He played an all-around great game. But Boobie Gibson, 31 points. And it's not...
Kobe Game 7. Remember that.
I
not a Kobe fan, he
ain't minimizing LeBron, but, he definitely had help from his teammates on that run.
I thought his the
Kobe
one
Gibson definitely gets love
the
for
one
one
team
game, no
I
doubt.
don't like people disrespecting from LeBron's Cavs one is the 09 team. I thought the 09 team was dope.
He says it himself.
Yeah, like,
he
I thought-
says it. I screwed up.
Yeah,
I'm
he said,
the
yeah,
one.
he said- yeah, and I thought people like they love to look at just like Mo Williams, Delonte West, Ilgauskas. I thought that team was really cool. No, obviously it
They
wasn't.
won 66
it,
games.
it wasn't the big 3 in Boston, but the team was really dope. Like it was still a good quality.
And that's
team.
the thing. I feel like when teams underachieve or they fail to
Brown.
live up to expectation,
Mike Brown was dope.
people always in hindsight look at the rosters and they're like, oh, it was, how the hell did he do this with them? But, the Cavaliers, when they went 66 and 16, they were an elite defensive unit. And that wasn't just LeBron. It was the team around him. And he didn't play his best brand of basketball. And I just feel like oftentimes when it comes to LeBron, especially the early stint in Cleveland, he didn't get the most help at all. But also, there were some teams that had really great records that were really great basketball teams that he shouldn't get like all the credit. Obviously, he gets the most credit, but it's not like he was totally out there with nothing.
No doubt. Like SGA won MVP this season.
Yeah, OKC is a legitimately is a juggernaut of a team.
LeBron's been on a tour. Like it's been cool to see just him being as open as he's been. Him and the Stephen A. Smith stuff. Him and the Pat McAfee.
You like that
show.
bobblehead?
Yeah, it's dope, man. You know who this is?
Yeah, Jason Richardson.
This is not Jason.
Quinn.
Richardson.
Quinn.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
an honest mistake because I've done it too.
So you didn't know who this was.
You know what? I don't appreciate
It's not
that.
an honest mistake because Jason never wore a headband and he's not this color. He's darker. It's not an honest mistake. Anyway,
Tell him to go
My-
fuck himself.
No, because you were just being a
I
double
can't
agent.
get copyright. YouTube monetizational. No more cursing. In my head, I was thinking Quentin Richardson. He played 1 year in Phoenix, but in my verbiage, my brain said, "Oh, I'm thinking of Jason Richardson still."
No,
I'm thinking of Jason Richardson.
looking at
Go to hell.
the 2009 Cavs.
You and me this episode.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't
I
want to see it
really
demonetized.
wish that we got a LeBron and Kobe finals.
So bad. So bad.
I
It was,
really wish we got a Kobe and LeBron.
it was
Is that the
09.
equivalent to Keem and MJ?
Low key.
Except this was very possible. Like this was, it was
Somebody did their
4-2
job,
series.
LeBron hit a buzzer beater in that series.
Somebody just showed up when it mattered.
The Lakers definitely would have won, but it would have been cool to
Yeah,
see. both
Kobe
in
would
the
have
finals.
clearly outplayed him.
Yeah, he would have
What's Kobe's record versus LeBron?
I actually don't know.
in the regular season.
Yeah.
Playoffs don't matter. They should matter.
I mean,
more.
they haven't played in the playoffs.
Yeah, because of
It
LeBron.
honestly sucks that they haven't played ever. It really is bothering.
Because last
it
time I
bothers
saw
me.
them playing a meaningful game, the All-Star game, back then,
2016.
Kobe, did his thing.
2016.
2016 All-Star game?
Yeah.
No, not when Kobe
You
was
know what?
washed.
You know what I wish would have been a sneaky series we got? D Wade versus LeBron. I wish we'd have got that one too. That'd have been really
Yeah, that
cool.
is surprising that we never got one of those.
Melo. We got Melo with LeBron, but Melo's
did get
team
Melo
was that
and LeBron.
good.
Uh-huh.
I wish we'd have got Melo versus D. Oh my God, we missed so much, man. It's tragic. I do think. I have a this week in the NBA. It's
Yeah, you
about
do.
Josh Giddey.
Nice.
Is it a would you rather?
I have something
No.
kind of interesting. Recently this week, Adam Silver highlighted that the NBA will look into expansion after the Boston Celtics sale is completed. And I think the NBA has needed expansion for a long time because of how talented some of these teams are getting. I want to ask you guys, can you name the last 10 expansion teams in the NBA?
Oh, absolutely. This is pretty easy. The OKC Thunder.
The Memphis Grizzlies.
Are they they're an expansion team, or was it just like
Well,
transferring to a franchise?
that's a transfer of, that's that.
Is it on the list?
Hard. No, because
the
they were the
Grizzlies?
Supersonics.
The New Orleans Pelicans or the
New Orleans Pelicans in the
Go ahead,
year.
You want to keep.
yeah the Minnesota
2002.
You
Timberwolves,
said it was easy. The
Timberwolves, yes.
the Grizzlies,
Grizzlies, yes.
the Raptors.
Charlotte, yes.
The Nets?
1988. The Nets.
No, they're just a
ABA
transfer.
team.
ABA. It's on me.
They got 4 of them.
The Heat.
Yes.
Heat, yep. There's
That's
another
what I meant.
team that
4 letters. That's on me.
you guys just named, which was the Hornets, obviously. The same year they came in.
Yep.
The
many
following year, there was another team, which
How many you got
regionally.
left?
You have 5 left.
We have 5 left.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's a team regionally.
Phoenix.
Nope.
Washington.
No bullets, dude.
Yeah, the Bullets are an old
They are old as
team.
hell.
Old team.
Expansion.
I'll go with the Mavericks.
Mavericks are 1980. That's the latest one, or the furthest,
Hawks?
oldest. Hawks, no.
Hate me.
Think back, they're trading away Bill Russell on draft night. Cliff Hagan and Ed McCauley.
Well, when you mean capped, you don't know who traded away who on draft night or whatever day.
Okay, because we got pretty much the easy ones out, like from 1990 and above. The Spurs.
Spurs, no.
No.
So don't say the Clippers.
Clippers, no.
They're
they were
old.
expansion.
They're
Yeah.
old. They
Take
were
back
back
to the
in
Buffalo Braves with league MVP Bob McAdoo.
Bob McAdoo, man.
Yep.
They don't talk about World Be Free.
I'm just thinking about old time the
Bob Lanier, Clipper.
Yo, let's
Kings
talk,
are an
bro.
old time
Let's talk.
franchise.
Have a Ron
The
Harper.
Warriors.
Warriors are
No.
not.
Wilt was on the Warriors.
Yeah.
Shout out to New Jersey. New Jersey. Yeah, legend. Rick Barry. Yep, he's in Jersey.
The Orlando Magic.
Orlando Magic, that's the team was insinuating 1988, the regional team with the Heat. So you got 4 left. One team, this is a pretty easy one. They've won a championship in the last
The
decade.
Raptors.
Yep, that's 1995. You got 3 more. One team did move from a different city. Technically, if not counting the Thunder, this team should also not count. But they do count in this. They moved from a different city in the Midwest.
So they moved to Seattle.
No.
Portland?
But
The
technically,
Seattle Supersonics.
was gonna say
if this
Portland,
team
but I was
counts, the Supersonics should count.
But doesn't count in the list.
No.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
I'll count the Sonics and
There's
this team
the
together.
Bobcats.
Bobcats, I don't think you named them,
Nah,
but
I
that's
said
the
Charlotte.
Hornets.
Not
Yeah.
Portland because of Walton.
Yes. Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
Oh, Bobcats, yeah, sorry, 2004. I missed that. Number 1. So.
How many more?
Yeah, 2 more. This team is kind of tough because they moved from the Midwest, and you may not think of them
The Jazz.
from. No, but you're kind of in a similar ballpark.
Sacramento.
Yes, they moved from.
You should have said it, Joel, because you
Kansas
did
City.
say it.
Yeah.
And the last
Sacramento.
team is in the Midwest.
We mentioned the Timberwolves already, so.
Oh, that is the team.
Oh,
All
it
right,
is?
Yep,
sweet.
that's
Nice.
last team.
Oh, okay. I thought we mentioned them already.
I'm not entirely sure.
So what are all the expansion teams since the time frame you're mentioning?
So it'd be really awesome if this in chronological order, which it's not. Bobcats 04, Raptors 95, Grizzlies 95, T-Wolves 90, 88, 89, sorry. Magic and Hornets 88, the Heat 88, Canes 85, Mavericks 1980, and the Pelicans in 2002.
And the next 2 teams, 2026, or I should say 2028, Las Vegas and Seattle.
Need to be New Jersey.
I don't think Las
Seattle.
Vegas should get an NBA team. I also folded there because you guys didn't mention the Mavericks and they're the oldest team.
We did.
Why don't you think
You
Las
did.
Vegas should
Okay.
get an NBA
Yeah.
team?
I'm tripping. I think it's meant for summer league. It's a great atmosphere, but
It's also dead out
it's
there.
dead, and they have the in-season tournament. And I think there's a lot of cities that'd be a lot better.
Jersey, man. We need a team, bro.
I think even if you have, I think your logic is sound. I think that is the number 1 team that's going to be an expansion team.
Seattle or
Las Vegas.
Seattle has to be above that.
No, I think Las Vegas, the casino money, the gambling, the
Seattle
rise,
should
If
be
you-
one.
I
the
think
rise in gambling.
If you really want to
Vegas is
tap
gonna be number
into a great market, which is huge,
Basketball city, Seattle.
Mexico City.
That too.
That would be if you really want to for the league to grow globally.
I feel like Seattle has to get one before anybody else.
Kansas City.
I like Kansas City a
Seattle over New
lot.
Jersey.
Seattle's a big city.
Oh, no,
It's a big
Seattle's
basketball
definitely
city.
over New
It's
Jersey.
a big basketball
Why?
city.
Jersey City get an NBA
Seattle's
team.
a bigger market.
I don't care.
For
Jersey
Boy
City
image.
fans to be bigger than Las Vegas in the NBA
Jersey
season.
is 20 minutes away from the media capital of the world.
So
Can we
Unfortunately-
please?
It'd also be like the little brother. Like the Nets.
Unfortunately, the attendance is just never there.
Yeah.
Like
that was
I,
the Nets issue.
I know the Brooklyn Nets attendance isn't the best, but when the Nets were really good with Jason Kidd and they made the finals, the attendance was always near the bottom of the league still. So I think that's why ultimately they moved from New Jersey because of the attendance numbers, which is weird because New Jersey has a big population. So they should definitely have
New
more
Jersey
attendance.
gets constantly pooped on. Like the Giants and the Jets playing in East Rutherford, and they're New York.
Yeah, they don't have an attendance problem.
They don't.
But it's also people coming from New York to watch
That's
them
another
too.
thing too. The Izod Center was across the street.
Yeah.
Why is there an attendance issue with basketball and not with the football?
Well, I think it's because
Giants
they
and
weren't
Jets.
good.
I think it's because
I agree.
the attention was centralized to the Knicks in MSG, and that took over. If you had a team in New York City, I think it'd be a similar issue. If let's say the Giants were in New York City and the Jets were in New York, and the Jets were in the Meadowlands, you would see the Giants have a lot more attention and focus, which would shift to attendance.
Also, we were terrible. It was no
But the
stars
finals
in the
teams
building.
didn't have good attendance either.
Yeah, that's shit. My this week in the NBA, we saw Josh Giddey hit a half court shot on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Chicago Bulls own the Lakers for this year, just completely doing their thing. His shot distance was 47 feet. Can you name me that ranks number 9 in all time in longest game winning shots?
Okay, well,
Game
number
winning.
one. Number one's Jeremy Lamb. Shout out Jeremy Lamb.
Promise you it's not, but he's number 8.
Max,
number 8?
Max
Yeah.
Strus.
He's at 48 feet.
That Jeremy Lamb game winner's number
Max
one in my heart.
Strus
Okay.
is number 2, 59 feet.
Devin Harris.
Devin Harris is not up here.
Tyreek Evans.
Tyreek Evans is number 5, 50
How
feet.
far was Jeremy Lamb's game winner?
48 feet.
It was only 48 feet. I thought that was like 60, like way more. The
Dwayne
difficulty of midfield.
Dwayne Wade is not up here.
Two guys that are great at these that didn't hit a game winner: Jordan Poole and Peyton Pritchard.
Baron Davis.
Aaron Davis is not up here.
Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups was not up here. I remember that one, though. That one was fire.
That was a
Chris
good one.
Paul.
Chris Paul is not up here. I'll be honest. These are some funny-ass names. One name you're not going to get.
Mo Williams.
No.
Not Jokic.
Jeff Teague.
No. What'd you name Jeff Teague?
I just remember it was shot.
Let's start with
I was gonna say, so give me some hints.
let's start with number 7. Current All-Star in the East, guard.
Trae Young.
Bang. 49
Yeah,
feet.
of course.
Let's go with number 4.
Trae Young did it this year.
That says 2025. Yeah, January 7, 2025. Let's start with number 4. All-time legend, played for the Sixers, Nets. ABA.
Julius Erving.
Oh my God, yo, you're killing right now.
That's good answers.
53 feet, February 28th, 1986. Let's go number 3. All-star level guard, civil rights, West.
Terry Porter.
No,
No.
I don't know why you.
Nate Archibald.
Sharif Abdul Rahim.
You said it all type of weird.
Yeah, Sharif.
You
he
got
changed
it.
his last name.
No, you're thinking there is a Sharif.
He played for the Spurs, didn't he?
No, he thinking of the one that
I'm
played for
combining two names
Memphis.
in one.
There's another one.
I know.
Yeah, I don't think you get the name though.
Talking about Nuggets.
Sure.
It is the Nuggets.
It's his
Excuse me.
name is Chris Jackson, but he changed his name to.
Thank you.
I forgot what he changed his name
Come
to.
on, bro. He did a lot for us.
I guess so can I mix them up their names so easily. But he said Chris Jackson, so that's his original name.
What is his name?
Mahmoud Abdul Raif.
That is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. He was 55 feet in 1992. And number 1, he played for the Pelicans. Small guard. Went to Kansas.
Ish Smith.
Nope. Did he go to Kansas?
I don't know. No, he didn't.
Did he play in like the 2010s?
Sure.
Oh my God.
I got it. Devontae Graham.
Banger!
that's a good
61
one.
feet. And then the guy we're never going to name, number 6, he played on the... I got to zoom in. St. Louis
Knicks.
Bombers.
The Bombers?
Bellis Smalley.
Oh no, not a chance.
50 feet, 1948.
That
My
Jeremy
God.
Lamb full court game winner felt like it was 70
keep
feet.
that in your notes because when Nerd Sesh pulls up to the studio, we're gonna give him that trivia.
Yeah, dude. Devontae Graham did that after SGA hit the go-ahead shot.
Yeah, that was a crazy.
That's a legendary game.
Devontae Graham was nice in college. man.
He kind of was good as hell to
First
start
couple
his
years.
That's
career.
2019
He was just
season, he was
inefficient,
a
but
problem.
fuck it. He was
Before
definitely
LaMelo?
that guy nice.
Before LaMelo, there was Devontae Graham taking 10 threes a game.
he was that boy nice vibes.
He was.
He was inefficient like LaMelo too. We're gonna take a quick break in the podcast and move on to the NFL portion of the podcast. Gonna get into a quick word from no sponsors, just us.
my fellow fans, help us out. If you're watching the show, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your brothers, tell your uncles, tell your mothers, tell your grandmothers, tell your cousins, your first, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, your schoolmates, your sons, your son's friends. Tell the world. Please help out, pick a side. Man, we put in a lot of time. We put in a lot of work, and we would love to support.
I'll beg.
I mean, if you want me to strip, I'll do that.
Getting into the NFL stuff, free agency has passed. We haven't done a full list of the teams that have had the best free agency, or like ranking them. We're probably going to do that next episode, next time we have maybe Del's here. We got John here, and we're going to go over the underrated free agent signings who can make a big impact in 2025 for their new team. John Tortorelli, who is your underrated free agent?
One move that I think went under the radar that I love is Nate Hobbs to the Packers. 4 years, $48 million. They needed to upgrade their cornerback room. Some uncertainty of Jared Alexander. I think it's a great deal. It's a great get. A young, quality defensive back to plug in their secondary. And that's the first name that I have for Green Bay.
I like Nate Hobbs. They need a nickel back. He's going to be perfect with them. And it was a reasonable deal. I think the Packers, they don't have a problem with talent on the roster. It's game changers.
And health.
They have great players, but they don't have elite level players that are true difference makers. And that's what they're missing.
I'm with you. My underrated signing was James Daniels to
That was on my
the
list.
Miami Dolphins.
What a deal.
Dude, that was fucking
That was a what?
nuts.
That was crazy.
My God. You might have shit your pants.
And he'll be right back.
Wow. Goodness gracious. That being said, James Daniels signing to the Miami Dolphins on only $10 million guaranteed, but a 3-year deal. He was one of the highest graded guards when it came to rush blocking. I just don't understand the unbelievable disgustingness that is coming out of the two of you. I thought you just farted again.
Damn.
That being said, he was one of the best guards at run blocking, the second highest graded run blocker, and that was one of the big needs that the Dolphins had last season. They needed run blockers, but they also needed to improve their run game, and I think that was a great addition for them.
He's only 26 too. He's young. 27.
Yeah, for me, I value what teams did, and I look at the team like the Minnesota Vikings getting Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen just to shore up the defensive line depth, and then on the other side, getting Ryan Kelly, getting Will Fry. It's a team that won 12 games last year, a team that went to the second round.
Might have won 14.
Yeah, they might have won more. Honestly,
Yeah,
I might be lowballing. They won 14 games.
That's why they need Aaron Rodgers.
No, listen, definitely did choke it. Definitely did not play well. But a team that has a rookie quarterback and is still instilling a lot of depth on their team on the front lines, in the trenches, knowing how valuable that is in the NFC when going up against teams like the Detroit Lions and their stout offensive line, Philly and their stout offensive and defensive line. You need trench work. We saw Green Bay struggle with that throughout the season against top teams, not having those dogs in the trenches. And I think what Minnesota did, getting Javon Hargrave, getting Jonathan Allen, who still has a little bit left in the tank, and plus they already have guys out there. I think getting those guys in the trenches really is going to benefit for their quarterback, who's a rookie, and also in their defense.
Sticking with the Vikings, I am going to give a major shout out to, I think, the most underrated free agent signing in free agency.
Isaiah Rodgers?
It actually isn't a signing. I lied. It's a trade.
Here we go.
It's Jordan Mason.
Oh.
I think Jordan Mason is going to be a huge difference maker for Minnesota. This past year, their rush success rate ranked 18th. They were 22nd in rush EPA per play. He had 789 yards and averaged 5.2 yards per carry. And in CMC's absence, he played remarkably. He's able to break tackles at a high rate. He had one of the best missed tackle rate in the NFL. And with the Vikings, I think that's what they need. Aaron Jones is more sort of pass catching back there, but with the improvement on the offensive line, giving Jordan Mason some holes to run through, I think he is the perfect combo that they need, with Aaron Jones being a pass catcher, Mason being that early down back, and they could even draft another running back. But I think last year, so much of Minnesota's problem was that they couldn't generate explosive run plays, and they couldn't have or generate runs once contact was there, because Aaron Jones, as soon as he's getting contacted, he's pretty much going to the ground. With Jordan Mason is different. He can break tackles. He's a bigger back. So I think him with the Vikings is going to be a huge difference maker. I think they're going to have a really good run game this year. And another one is Jeff Okudah to the Vikings. Isaiah Rodgers is a much better player. And that you can argue was the biggest steal of a contract, that any team had. I think Isaiah Rodgers is going to be awesome for them. Jeff Okuda, I'm keeping an eye on. This past season, he ranked 217th out of 222 corners in overall grade. But there's just something about Brian Flores getting these reclamation projects who nobody believes in, and they somehow turn into good players. So I'm not saying Jeff Okuda is going to be amazing, but can he be a depth piece, a serviceable piece, the same way that I saw Shaq Griffin struggle in Jacksonville, then go to Minnesota, and he had a pretty good season? I could see that. So I think they made a lot of great moves, and it's really highlighted with Jordan Mason. I think he can take their offense, and he can raise the ceiling of their offense overall.
Yeah, I got two more. First of all, shout out to Slay to Pittsburgh. I thought that was also an underrated move. Shout out to John for his
mentor for JPJ.
Exactly, somebody who could just be on the opposite side of him.
He's better.
You have Minka out there, you have JP out there who's still young, still trying to find his stride in the league, but the potential is there. Like, you've seen him when he plays really well, he can be a lockdown corner. But getting somebody like Slay, who we've seen what he did with QM and Cooper DeJean and that veteranship, that leadership, and he can still play at a high level. So I think that's what Pittsburgh's been missing on that defensive side, not having that corner that can, help out with Joey Porter or help out the secondary. And another one, Daniel Jones to Indianapolis is sneaky. And I mean sneaky in the sense of this can either light a fire under AR to be like, nah, this is my team, or they realize we may have fumbled on AR, but we still have a quality quarterback that we can probably still make some wins with. We can probably still be competitive. We saw this team be competitive with Gardner Minshew. We saw this team for a stretch be competitive with Joe Flacco. It may be a small stretch, but it was a stretch. We saw this team be competitive with AR. Like, this team can be competitive with quarterback play. I think Daniel Jones can give you steady quarterback play with a good OC, with good weapons, and I do really believe in the talent of Josh Downs. I really do. So I think Daniel Jones is somebody who also is, you can consider a bit of a veteran in this league, somebody who's been around, he's been paid, he's been a top pick, he's made the playoffs, he's done some things in the league to where, like, you kind of would want to learn from that, and I think this can be really great for the Colts.
I like that shout, especially Darius Slay. And I don't know why when you said that, I feel like Daniel Jones, the mentor, can give a lot. He was a top 10 pick, like you highlighted, got paid, and has a lot of wisdom from his years with the Giants. And it reminds me a little bit of Andre Drummond in the NBA, where a player gets paid like that, it doesn't work out, but then he gets a lot of wisdom to come from that. And that could be something really valuable in that locker room. Two names that I had, which I think you're going to like the first one. It's going to have to be Javon Hollins to the Giants. 3 years,
Damn right.
$48 million, $30 guaranteed. I liked him and Paulson Adebo both going to kind of round out their secondary. It relieves the pressure on Deontay Banks, to be that number one corner. So if he develops, you all of a sudden look at this Giants secondary is one of the better ones in football, and what they got in their front seven, I think it's a very good way to rebound from last year, where you lose Saquon, and the next thing you know, the Packers are giving a huge offer to Xavier McKinney they weren't prepared for. So I think the moves that Joe Schoen is, a lot of people want him to be fired. Same Brian Dable. I wasn't one of those people, and they've done a good job so far in free agency to say our defense is going to be very good this year. And you add in Russell Wilson. That's not the other name.
Last thing I want to say with the Giants, though, got to acknowledge Drew Phillips as well.
Yeah.
Drew Phillips is another guy in that secondary that's really great. And shout out to Tyler Nubin.
It could be a very good secondary as early as this season. And the other name I'm going to give, there's two. Both former Steelers, I'm sorry. The first one's going to be Najee the Chargers. 1 year, $6 million.
I did have Najee on my list, bud.
They did not give him the fifth-year option, and I believe it lit a fire under Najee. The Steelers' offensive line last year lost 2 starters for the season, was not healthy. But every single year, Najee was still consistent when everything else around him was a revolving door. The offensive line was bottom 5 in football when he was drafted. The quarterback play was a train wreck, and defense were able to stock the box on early downs, which put basically all of the pressure on him. I think Justin Herbert's going to relieve it with a elite offensive line. The other name that I think in the Patriots offseason gets overlooked is a Pro Bowl linebacker in Robert Spillane for 3 years, $33 million. I think Mike Vrabel, he's going to come in and he's going to be a core piece of that defense, a great player, still got a lot left in the tank, and I feel like the Patriots have one of the best off seasons. They've got some receiving talent.
The Patriots they signed so many players. Mm-hmm. They signed Harold Landry. They signed Milton Williams. They also signed Kalavion Chason from a former first-round pick who is a pass rush specialist, so that's going to help them as well. Carlton Davis.
I was going to say, you're just talking defense. They bring in Stephon Diggs. Like they made so many moves around the margins because they have so many holes.
Yeah, they improved their roster drastically. I love the shout out that you gave to Najee Harris because I think Najee Harris,
Had a hell of a year.
consistent 1,000-yard running back with the Chargers. I think after a slow first couple of days of the offseason, the Chargers really bounced back and had an exceptional free agency period with a lot of good players came. Andre James, Mekhi
We calling
Becton,
Najee Harris a
Tyler
good player?
Conklin,
Yeah.
Najee Harris.
good player.
Najee Harris is a strong 6.5 out of 10.
John, what
Give me a
about
break. He was in a dog shit
6 and a
situation.
5, 6
He's
and a
a
half
7.
out of 10.
7 out.
Oh,
he's a
screw
7.
you, buddy. I'm not going to get into
He's
an
at
argument
least a
over
7.
0.5.
He's at least 7.
7.5.
He's at least 7.
He's at
6 and a
7
half
at
is a bit
minimum.
disrespectful.
I think
Are you
he's,
only saying that because he's on the Chargers?
Well, we saw the same thing in James Conner, where the Steelers let him go. And
We
he
were
goes to
calling-
I
Arizona,
never
which was
slandered
better.
James Conner not a
I
day
know.
in my
I
life.
want us
What
to
you're
keep
telling
We
me,
were calling Najee Harris mid on
what
the
you're telling
Steelers.
me is that Najee Harris is a 65 overall in Madden.
There's
6.5 running back. That's what it means. Out of 100.
Joe Mixon's a 94 in Madden, pal.
What do you think Najee Harris's rating should be?
81.
85.
He's at least an 8 out of 10 running back.
He should be in Madden.
Give him 84.
In Madden, a 78, 79.
So he's a 7.8.
the reason why
No.
I disagree.
What's his
with
ranking
you,
in the league?
Joe
Like the
Mixon's a
18th best
94
running back?
Madden.
He's like
Is he a
he
94
was
out
with
of
the
100?
Steelers,
No, he's
but
probably
with
like
the
an 80.
Chargers. I
He's probably
believe he'll
8
be
out of
like
10
top
running back.
15.
80.
I think
Okay,
he'll
and
be
what are we
close
trying to put
top
Najee
10.
at?
Close.
Joe Mixon's not that much better than
What
him.
are we trying to put Najee at?
You just said it's
Najee's gonna be
78.
better
That's
so we're cool.
7.8.
Are we cool with that?
You just said 6.5.
He is
That was
in real
That's
life.
disrespectful.
7 minimum.
No,
bro.
we're talking about in real life.
7
What is
minimum, I'm
Najee?
telling you.
6.5
I-
out of 10.
A 65 overall is what you're telling me. That's
Madden
not true.
and real life are different.
Obviously.
Are we overrating Najee? Feels like it.
In Pittsburgh, top 20 running back. In Los Angeles, with Herbert and that offensive line, he'll be right on the border of top 10. And
Top 10 what?
top 10 border on. He'll be better than Joe Mixon this year. I think he'll under that range.
Top 10 running
15.
back?
Omarion Hampton
Top 15
and
running
Gentry come out of the draft better than Najee Harris. I'd argue maybe
Yeah.
Trayvon Henderson as well.
No, the first two I'm fine with. But my thing is, he's going to be elevated going from the Steelers quarterbacks to Justin
I
Herbert
fucking nailed it.
relieving the
PFF gave him a
pressure.
77.9. That's fucking funny. Go ahead.
Listen, that's
he's a
well
70.
above
He might be a
average.
78.
That's
Yeah.
well above average for the position.
It
At
is. It was
the
14th.
end of the day, the Steelers held
Okay.
him back.
Okay.
But the Chargers are going to elevate him. He'll be someone that.
Steelers also held back Jalen Warren.
Well, he was hurt.
He
this
was
year.
hurt. That's true.
So wait,
So
wait,
Najee's a
James-
top 15 running back at
When,
worst.
You think
when
so?
James Conner left
have
the
names.
He's
Steelers,
rated 14th.
John, I have
Does this
names.
matter to
too.
me?
You don't
Can I
have to
name-
do it. Because I have him top 20 in the Steelers. I think be top 15 in the Chargers.
Oh, okay. Because I have names.
Yes, name them.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm gonna vomit.
So obviously Saquon better, Derrick Henry better. Keep track, Drew.
I'm here too.
Bijan,
Yep.
Keep going.
JT,
Keep going.
Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard,
This is a good list. I like this.
Aaron Jones,
Aaron Jones this year, Najee better than Aaron Jones this year.
Bucky Irvin,
11,
James Conner,
12,
Tony Pollard.
13.
I think
Rico
Najee
Dowdle.
can be better than Tony. Had a good year. I think Najee can be better than Tony.
Okay, Rico Dowdle,
No.
Nico had a
No.
good year. Najee's better.
Najee's not.
Najee's
I'll give you
better.
some better
Agreed.
names.
Joe
Yeah.
Mixon,
14,
Najee
James
Lee
Cook,
better.
15,
Okay.
Chase Brown,
16.
Najee's better, bro.
DeAndre Swift.
You didn't name Kenneth Walker or Bruce Hall.
Oh,
he's not-
I'm
he's
just
still
looking at
going.
rushing stats.
He's still going.
Yeah, rushing
I'll
yards.
give you a good. I think
He
right up
gave
to
me
the 10.
15 off
Devon
this.
Achane or Najee Harris.
Well, if Adrian's injuries, I go Najee. Najee's
shit, Kenneth
consistent,
Walker,
he's
you gotta add him
durable,
to the list.
he's
Devon Achane
reliable.
didn't miss games last year. He had a concussion, came back.
But coming to the
good.
draft in his first year, a lot of injuries.
So add Kenneth Walker to the list.
We're
I think-
well over 15.
We are comfortable.
I'm not.
No,
Kamara, man, I think he's better than Kamara this year.
we didn't even say Kamara.
Still taking
Yeah.
Kamara with all due
I
respect.
think the first 10 names, so James Conner at 10, Bucky Irvin, James Cook, those 12, and Bruce Hall, those 13 can take over him. I think at 14 is where I'd have Najee this year. Right with Kamara, Kenneth Walker, and Dan Montgomery.
You rather have Najee Harris and Kenneth Walker?
I think he can enter that tier. Yeah, he's already in that tier to me. Yeah,
Kenneth Walker is so much better than him.
so much better.
Yes.
Yes.
Najee is
Mid.
average.
At the running back position, he's above average. He's a good player.
We didn't even add CMC.
He is a
The
good player.
issue is that he was in a bad situation, which do you think he was in a good situation? A bottom 5 O-line, bottom 5 quarterback, worst offensive coordinator his first 2 years.
Oh, well, really? Russ, bottom 5 quarterback now.
Kenny Pickett,
Oh,
Mitch
Kenny
Trubisky.
Pickett. Okay, no, just making sure because I remember Russell
At
Wilson was
worst,
top 10.
Najee Harris
We're
is
here.
going to give the Chargers 1,000
We're here,
yards
John. No,
rushing.
you're talking about his career.
Oh, yeah, he giving you that. Like,
Russell
Najee
Wilson
gonna get you a
and
cat.
Ben Roethlisberger in his last year is the best that he had. Now he's playing Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback.
feel
With
like-
that offensive line.
I
Joe
feel like
Alt,
I feel like
Rashawn
Najee-
Slater, Mekhi
The one
Becton,
thing
Andre
that-
James, and Zion
listen,
Johnson.
I think Najee's going to be good this year.
He's
He was
the
on my
worst
list.
one. He can develop and be.
Najee was literally on my list. I'll show you if you
But
want.
you're-
That being said, what I think
You're
is the
saying he's an
upside of him.
average player, which is wrong.
I do
He's a
think
good
so.
player.
He's a average.
How you
running
gonna have
back.
an average player on your list of most underrated signs? That's what I don't get.
Ooh,
That's
Because
just
there's no running back on the Chargers.
they had J.K. Dobbins.
They did have
He's
J.K.
gone. No, I'm
better?
saying there's no running back on the roster with him.
Who's better?
He's gonna get a ton of opportunity.
Najee's reliable. I'm gonna take
Okay,
Najee.
No, JK's better when he's healthy.
Fine.
Hey, bro, this brother's like the 20th best
My
running back.
God.
In
That being
Pittsburgh,
said,
yeah, I agree with you.
did
But
you
with
even
the
highlight
Chargers,
his
he's
receiving aspect of things? The fact that his rookie season, that was one. He was arguably his best trait. How great he was as a receiving
Najee?
back. Najee Harris. Going to the Chargers, where Justin Herbert loves dumping off to the running back, that's going to be a big part of his game. I think that that's something that's going to be an underrated part of Najee this year. That's why he was one of the guys on my list. The last guy that I want to list off, I had two more actually, outside of Najee and inside of James Daniels. Nick Westbrook-Akine, him getting signed to the Dolphins on a $6 million deal for 2 years. He had 9 touchdowns last year. They need a wide receiver 3. I thought that was a great ad. And honestly, Jalen Moore to the Chiefs. I think they needed a left tackle pretty badly. He was a pretty average left tackle, and honestly, it's going to be better than what they had last season with the BYU left tackle. And with Tooney having to slide over and forced to be out of his position,
Mike Caliendo sliding in.
the offensive line was just in absolute shambles for them, outside of course, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. But Joe Tooney having to go and play out of position, bringing in Jalen Moore, at least I believe they'll have some stability at left tackle, and it doesn't come at a premium.
John, tell me more about Dante Jackson.
He's gonna be better in Los Angeles. That's
Chargers.
That's
I don't really care.
he was whatever at the Steelers, but when that's a veteran that
Tell me more about Dante
when that's a veteran that Jim Harbaugh's targeting for their scheme, he'll have a good year, Jesse Minter. This year in Pittsburgh, he was very inconsistent, dealt with injury, but he was a good playmaker in the star. And
What's going to happen to the
good
Chargers
year. That's a
pass
good
rush?
signing.
What's up with their pass rush?
Tuli
I'll have to
Tuipulotu
draft.
breakout.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I'll
Okay,
have to get
interesting.
someone in the draft to replace him.
95-year-old
Khalil
Khalil
Mack.
Mack.
Still top 10 in PFF grade.
95.
Look at that PFF grade.
that.
I just seen you pull it up with Najee. Look at Khalil Mack.
It was high.
Look at Khalil Mack.
By the way,
high.
77
Yeah.
PFF grade's pretty good.
That is 14th. It was 14th.
And I have him 14 on running backs.
Okay.
And by the way, Kenneth Walker there had 1,600 yards. He ain't come close to that, by the way.
All
He was
purpose.
hurt for most of the season.
Rookie year.
The Seahawks
How many games he
offensive
plays rookie
the
year?
Seahawks offensive
Johnny
line is
fucking
worse
with
than
that
the
stuff.
Steelers.
Najee don't miss games.
She should.
No, if you're taking into account durability,
That
then
was
fine.
Hilarious.
Apologize.
Kenneth Walker, when he's
7
healthy,
seconds left. Come on.
is clearly better than Najee.
Huh?
Kenneth Walker, when he's healthy, is clearly better than Najee. Like, it's clear.
Yo, Brees Hall or Najee Harris?
I'll go
How the
Brees.
mighty have
That's a debate.
fallen.
I'll go Brees.
That's a
The
debate.
mighty have
The
fallen.
fact we're even in this tier.
Yeah,
Oh
Brees
my
Hall.
God.
You know,
You
he
take
has
one
he has to
seriously.
prove
I'm
something
not
to me.
giving you Joe Mixon. I like Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle. I'm not giving you those.
Why?
Najee's
Joe
a
Mixon is
better
better
player.
than Rico
Joe
Dowdle.
Mixon, he is better than Rico Dowdle.
Well, I'm saying Najee's better than Rico Dowdle. And
They're on the same tier.
David Montgomery
David
or
Montgomery's
Najee
fine.
Harris?
I think that's where Najee is. 14-16, David Montgomery.
Man. Will
David
Shipley.
Montgomery left Chicago and got better.
Brian
in Detroit.
Robinson or Najee Harris?
Give me Najee.
All right, I'm cool with
Will
that. I don't
Shipley.
really like Brian Robinson.
Oh, yeah, man. Come
I know you love him.
Brian Robinson is the man. Now, some other underrated signings, Kevin Zeitler getting a Pro Bowl
Facts.
over guard to the Titans. I think
Great move.
they're going to draft Cam Ward number 1, and he needs an offensive line, and I think they've improved it. Even though Dan Moore was a bit of an overpay, he's like average at best. You have Skoronski, Zeitler, Cushenberry, J.C. Latham playing his natural position right tackle. It should be at least like an all-right offensive line for Cam Ward. And then Poona Ford, just 7th best run defender in the
insane,
league,
son.
graded out. And the Rams need help on
coming
the
for
run
you.
defense, 20th in
they're
rush
coming for you.
EPA per
Coming
play.
for you.
So those are the moves that
They're coming.
I like the most. And just to cover some
Yeah, I got
NFL
He might win a
news
playoff
quickly.
Who?
The guy you said who's better than Big Ben. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Kwesi Adolfo Mensah on talks with Aaron Rodgers says that I think we got to a place where we just said everybody was transparent. So this proves that they did have conversations with Aaron Rodgers, but right now we feel good about where we're going, and that's really how it ended. So it kind of feels like it's like, they might not go with Aaron Rodgers. And he said of the Vikings talks with Rodgers, it's ultimately up to him. It's hard to talk about a player who's not under contract for our team and who isn't a member of this team. It's ultimately up to him what he decides to do with his future, but that's kind of where we left it. So this kind of feels like they're also opening the door for Aaron Rodgers, leaving it up to him if he wants to compete for the starting job, because maybe what they're saying is that they're not automatically going to give it to him. He has to go and compete for the job.
Competing
in training
rookie.
camp.
You have to compete for a guy who has played 0 games.
But you're still like that. You still have some left in the tank, we heard.
And on McCarthy being QB1, he does have some left in the tank.
Competing with a rookie doesn't seem like it.
I mean, they drafted him high. That's the outcome we want, and that's the outcome we're headed towards on McCarthy being QB1. At every checkpoint, whether it's been the draft process or practice until the injury or really the offseason now, he's met the bar. He's exceeded our expectations at every point. And so I don't have the ability to tell you what the future is, but I can tell you what I expect to be the outcome this offseason from the competition.
All right, that doesn't sound non-committal to
Listen,
me.
if they want to compete, don't get Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go there, there's no quarterback competition.
No, of
JJ
course.
is obviously the starter.
Yeah, for sure.
If Aaron Rodgers goes there, he wins the job, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't. He actually will sit there and watch J.J. McCarthy
No,
play.
he'll win the job.
He will win the job.
No, I'm not
He'll
feeling
win the
that.
job.
Yeah.
Listen, the only reason, I get it. You have this newfound knowledge of you think he was good last year.
He was.
And I listen.
Joel.
His best game against the Dolphins.
Hold-
7
stop.
games away from the
Let me
playoffs.
speak. Let me speak.
Please.
He was the
Drew,
14th rated
Drew,
quarterback on
Drew,
PFF.
let me speak.
I don't give a
Drew,
shit.
let me speak, John. Let me speak. You have this undenying delusional belief that Aaron Rodgers had a good year last year.
He did.
And
It was good.
Listen, based off the throwdown we had last podcast, I understand the back end of his year looked really pretty because
Week
he
18 game
played
versus
some
Dolphins.
dog teams on defense. Now, I also understand that you want to see him get one last hoorah into the sun. I get it. It's respectable. It's admirable. It's just not going to be with the Vikings. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers and J.J. McCarthy, JJ's better, dude. I just feel that strongly in my bones, and I feel like you got to see what you have with the rookie. All jokes aside, I really do feel like waiting another year to see what he has, I don't think that makes sense for me. I feel like you already had your 1 year, and if you really wanted to let him sit, you should have just kept Sam Darnold. Honestly, I think you had more consistency there.
That's
you had
kind
that
of tricky.
money.
I think you had more and I get the money part. So
That's
yeah,
like a 2 to 3 year commitment.
yeah, and I get that part too.
Even though Seattle, if you look at the way they structured
but they gave him
Sam's
the first,
contract,
it's like the first two.
only the first year is guaranteed. They
would've
can
did that.
basically move off of Sam after 1
Yeah,
year.
I would have did that, but you got to see what you have with this rookie, man. You have to, especially with this roster that you have. You know, we always love to talk about how, you know, you want to try to build the best team on a rookie deal because when that money starts coming in, it's really hard to pay and keep players. That's what you're doing right now. You have to see what you have in this rookie. And listen, you traded up to get JJ or traded down, however you want. You traded to get JJ McCarthy. You sent a good amount to get him. There's no reason to do all that and then, you know, not play him. So I think, like, all jokes aside, I think Aaron Rodgers should go to Pittsburgh. I think that's the ideal spot for him. I think that is the more
Enjoy that, John.
generous spot for him. I think J.J. McCarthy, man, let this guy start. Do you want to bring in a vet to compete with him? That's cool, too. But you got to see what you have in this guy.
Every young quarterback needs a mentor to develop. Right now in the Vikings, they don't have another quarterback on their depth chart.
Kevin O'Connell.
And one thing that's overlooked with Aaron Rodgers is the relationship that he built with Jordan Love, where Jordan Love credits him for helping him develop in their 3 years together.
Real.
When I look at this stage of Aaron Rodgers' career, I mean, with how much of a shit show the Jets were last year, I'm not going to say he had a good year. I think he was a part of a giant mess, and he can rebound, still be a top half quarterback, especially with a couple of injuries to the position. He could easily have a top 12 to 16 quarterback season to where, do I think he's better than Drake May this year? I don't know. I think Drake May, I'm sitting in Dallas chair, could have a better year, but Rodgers can still be a quality starter. If I'm Minnesota, I would rather prioritize, and to a degree, hand JJ the keys to my offense, given on a rookie deal, you have a certain amount of years to maximize that financial window, and he already missed his first year with the torn meniscus. So having him sit that second year to me and not letting him get those reps would hold back his development. So I think it's important for the Vikings where they find a fine line of getting a mentor, but I don't think it's the right fit for Rodgers because I do believe he would start over J.J. McCarthy. And the best thing for McCarthy to develop is getting to start with a veteran mentor over his shoulder. So I think that, like you guys have said before, and I really embraced it once we got DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers should go to Pittsburgh. It's just a question of whether or not he wants to continue playing football.
Yeah, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers, the number one thing right now is just the offensive line has to be good because he's 41. He gets hit a couple times, he might get hurt. That's just what it is right now at this stage of his career. And that's why I don't hate the Minnesota fit because the best thing for him is Minnesota. And if he goes to Minnesota, I think the Vikings not only have a quarterback that's a better option than a pseudo rookie quarterback right now this year, but Rodgers is not guaranteed to last all 17 at this age. So you can have a quarterback, and then if he gets hurt, then you put JJ out there and he plays. So I don't know. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot. The Minnesota fit, and I think it's what Quessy said is basically is up to him because I'm also not ruling out, and I don't think he would do this, but if it's between the Steelers and the Vikings, there's a lot of pressure with the Steelers, a team that really just been 500 and they're not able to win a playoff game, and
650.
anything that goes wrong, he gets blamed. If he goes to Minnesota, it shows me that he still believes in himself and he will fight for the job. He will compete for the job, and he's going to try to win the job, and he's going to try to earn it. With the Steelers, it's more like, oh yeah, you're obviously the starter. With the Vikings, it's okay. You know what? I have something to prove to myself, and it's a better team. It's a better situation. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I feel 100% confident they win the division next year.
Who, the Vikings? Mm-hmm. What's their ceiling for you? I'm curious.
Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is the last year. You better hope they do
NFC
it.
Championship.
Super Bowl, huh?
But I think you know what I mean. This is the last year
He wants to be Brett Favre
of the 3-year take. So I would hope that with Aaron Rodgers, that they have a chance to do it and dethrone the Detroit Lions. But we'll see if that happens. I still feel overly confident.
Super Bowl is cute.
I do believe Aaron Rodgers to Minnesota moves the needle, though. That'll be very exciting to see, especially with Kevin O'Connell, with Jet, with Jordan Addison. There's just so much on that offense to be excited about, and now they've revamped their offensive line. They've allowed themselves the luxury to do whatever they want with it. Well, do they have their first-round pick this year because they traded it last year?
They do have it.
They do have it. So that's they have the luxury that they can go wherever they want. They can go best player available. They really don't have too many holes when I look at the roster. This is a great team. And you add Aaron Rodgers to that, a motivated Aaron Rodgers. What you're saying is pretty sound.
Gun to your head.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers goes to Minnesota.
Yes.
Put them in order. Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Rams.
The Vikings.
And the Vikings.
I'm
last?
sorry.
Okay.
Got them completely.
Eagles 1.
Eagles will be 1.
Rams 2.
This is Aaron Rodgers. He's in Minnesota. He's motivated. Allegedly.
Vikings are 2.
He was motivated with the Jets.
Eagles.
Yo, John, talk.
It wasn't like he just
John,
got this motivation.
No, you're right.
now.
John,
You're cooking.
Effing
You're
talk.
cooking. He's cooking.
He came off a ruptured Achilles. It's
Yeah.
a career-ending
So
injury.
he wasn't motivated.
He's still motivated. That makes him even more motivated.
Yeah.
We
That's all
just saw
motivation
Kirk
he needs.
Cousins younger come back from the same injury and look completely zapped. Rodgers didn't
Kirk
look
Cousins
like
isn't as
Kirk.
And Rodgers looked a little bit.
No, he didn't. His arm talent
Did
is
you
still
see
there.
Rodgers'
His
first
arm's
couple
not
weeks?
what
He
it
was
was.
awful.
His arm talent's not.
Well, obviously, but his
I think
arm is
a
still
lot
a
of it's
hollow.
lower
He's so
body.
much
A lot
better
of
than
it's
Kirk
lower
Cousins.
body
It's not even
velocity.
funny.
I also think Kirk's throws were pretty poo-poo because he couldn't use a base.
Yeah.
He didn't have his base underneath him,
It's
so
so
he couldn't
much-
throw with his
But,
legs.
but that's the
Velocity
same
is your
injury
lower
that
body.
Rodgers attempted to come back from.
I also just
and he
think
played
Kirk,
really well off
he,
it.
He played well considering the ACL, the Achilles.
Well,
I
he
agree.
still played like an above average quarterback
I'm fine with that.
off of ruptured Achilles.
Among expendable quarterbacks in football.
The way I
this
feel
one.
about, I think the Vikings become the second best team in the NFC if they get Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's still the Rams.
And
Or the Rams.
I feel like this is how I feel about it. He goes to the Steelers, that's fine. My instant reaction, and I think this is kind of everybody's instant reaction. He goes to the Steelers. Okay,
You said they could win a playoff game with him.
they can, but still, it's not. I'm not feeling super excited. I'm not feeling like it's the last dance final hoorah for a legend like Aaron
Did you feel that
Rodgers.
for the Vikings?
If he gets signed to
Don't
the
give
Vikings,
TJ a lot of chance.
the Vikings are stacked.
if he gets signed to the Vikings, I'm going
It's harder over here than over there.
Whoa, and he's playing in a dome. He doesn't have to play outside. I think that's a big thing.
It's harder over here than over there.
What do you mean?
He's played outside his entire career, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's easier playing a dome.
I'm saying it's harder in the NFC than in the AFC
Yeah.
at the top.
He's right.
No.
But the AFC at the top.
No, he's
those
right.
top 4
AFC,
teams.
you're competing with elite quarterbacks.
Got
Yeah,
the
but over
Chiefs,
here you compete with elite
Bills,
teams.
The Ravens. Got the
He's
Raiders.
right.
How many teams are better than the Vikings roster?
3.
I don't think the Rams roster top to
2.
bottom is better than the Vikings.
The only thing that they're missing is a strong secondary piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Vikings have that.
They do.
Oh yes, you're right. You talking about Byron?
Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, I think, would be the best corner
We've
on
also
the
seen
Rams.
Matthew
He's tough.
Stafford.
You're not an
Sean
Ahkello
McVay.
Witherspoon
The
kind of
deep-
guy.
Super Bowl.
Achille
Brought him
Witherspoon,
back. Solid move.
he's all right.
He
The
is.
linebackers for the Vikings are way better. The scheme, Brian Flores, I think, is
Aaron
just
Rodgers
better.
would be the worst quarterback out the top 5 teams.
He's
in
right.
the NFC, just like he would in
So
if he was in Pittsburgh.
Jaden Daniels, Stafford,
Hurts, Goff.
I think Rodgers is better than Goff.
Right now,
Yeah,
I don't think you have a base to say that.
I think he's better than him.
I don't think he has an argument at all to be better than Goff right
This
now.
is
I
Miles
would
There's
rather
nothing
have
you can.
Goff.
There's nothing you can bring up.
I think it's Rodgers.
Based off what?
And even then, it's
3
like
years ago?
No. Even then, it's not like would you be surprised if Rodgers on the Vikings has a better season than Goff?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stinked it up like Goff. Because he did that.
I would.
You've seen it all last year.
No,
He
not
was
4
fucking
interceptions.
poopy.
He didn't have
Yo,
one
dude,
4
am I-
interception game.
am I-
No,
bugging?
dude.
So what? That's it. That's we draw the line of Jared Goff.
Well, he would be the worst. He's the worst out the bunch right now.
Jaden Daniels and-
Jaden's better. Hurts
yes.
better. Staffy's better. So he's the bottom. He's the fourth.
He's the 5th.
I think he's better than Rodgers. So I would put Rodgers the 5th.
I'm sorry. Yes, that's. I'm.
But
thought we were
even
talking
then, I
about
think
Rodgers.
that Rodgers can, outside of Jaden, who I really view as like an
God, here we
elite
go.
level talent.
What else?
I think Rodgers can play just as well as all of those guys.
including Hurts.
Yes,
In the playoffs?
he can.
In the
Hurts
playoffs?
was
Stafford?
average
In the
all year
playoffs?
long.
Until
In the
the
playoffs, he
playoffs.
played great.
But he's an elevator.
Yeah.
No, in the playoffs he played great, but it also has a lot to do with the Eagles just being really.
But he's
stacked.
also a superstar in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he played really well this run, and his roster is also very stacked. You have to worry about Saquon Barkley. You're getting one-on-one coverages with A.J. Brown down the field.
And then you have to worry
with no
about
safety help.
Jalen Hurts using his legs come playoff
He
time.
wasn't good against the Rams.
He was
It was
also.
snowing.
It was snowing, and he was. cold.
Stafford was.
He was yerked up.
He was great against the Commanders.
He was
great in the Super
yerked
Bowl.
What?
up.
He was feeling good.
Yeah, it was snowing.
But the Commanders' defense was weak.
Who performed the best against the Chiefs' defense of all the quarterbacks that played against them?
Who had the
They
easiest
did have
degree
like
of difficulty?
27
Oh,
point
interesting.
lead.
Not the
Hurts.
MVP.
Who had the easiest degree of difficulty?
Not the MVP.
It was
Chiefs.
Hurts.
Interesting.
I mean,
Chiefs are
they
playing
stacked.
offense against-
Did you see how they sold out on the run? I mean,
You should.
Who would? Yeah, I know you have to. That's the thing with the Eagles. You have to. But I mean, Josh Allen is not getting one-on-one looks at all.
It
He's
don't even
getting
matter.
too high all the time.
It don't even matter if he gets one-on-one.
I
His
think in
receivers
the
or
in the
whatever.
AFC, I mean, you have a collection of great rosters and quarterbacks. I think, but no, not even great quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks.
You have elite
Lamar,
quarterbacks.
Mahomes, and Allen.
Elite quarterbacks,
Same
great
quarterback
rosters.
always wins.
But I think in the NFC you have elite teams, like legitimate.
When you
elite
did your
teams.
power rankings, where did the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills rank?
The Ravens were 7. The Bills were 3 or 4. The Chiefs were 2.
It's top 7 teams, and do you have an elite quarterback?
That's him. I had 4 of the NFC teams in my top 6.
But you had the Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens in your top 10.
No, I had Bills 7. I had most NFC
and
teams.
you were
in my
lower
top
on
10.
the Bills, I think. Than you
I had
should have
Bills 7. I had Ravens 3, Chiefs 2, and then 4, 5, 6 were NFC team.
been. Yeah, I also think the difference is that in the NFC, Rams, Eagles, Lions, 3 great defensive lines.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, the defensive lines aren't anything that you're worried about. The Packers don't have a great defensive line, pass rushing wise. The Commanders don't have a great defensive line.
Did you
pass
say the
rushing
Vikings?
wise. Yeah, but like I'm under this scenario, Rodgers is on
They
the
are
Vikings.
the Vikings.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the Lions defensive line, I'm worried about. The Rams defensive line, the Eagles. They have 3 great defensive lines.
It's only the 3 best teams in the conference.
Yeah. Like, those are the 2, but I think the Vikings are in that tier. I think they're just as talented. It's just about like,
They were just
Don't
Certain
sleep in the
matchups.
Giants deal,
Yeah.
by the way.
Chalk, but
Who?
playoff teams.
What?
Playoff team. He's talking playoff teams.
Giants
It's okay.
defensive line.
the New York
What
Giants.
do I think Mason Graham?
sleepy.
All right. That's going to do it for episode 473 of the Pick a Side podcast.
With John.
You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this episode, comment down your opinion. And also, if you made it to the very tail end, we need you guys to do this one very thing. We put this poll up on the community, but we want you guys to comment as well. And if you could elaborate on it, we'd appreciate it as well. Old episode or new episode style thumbnails, let us know and why. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.